Welcome, everybody, to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Tuesday, June 11th.
Big day.
And it is the last day of OTAs for the Detroit Lions. And we have a lot to get to. Jake Bates visiting with the Detroit Lions. We'll talk about that. Maybe a UFL star, not Jake Bates, as a potential signing.
Oh, player I like coming out of college a little bit too. I'm not going to lie.
I felt the debate too. I did. On Iowa State. But, hey, we'll get to it all. Fellas, how we doing today?
Feel great. Beautiful Tuesday. Final OTAs day, too, by the way. I know they're going to be there tomorrow, but the media's not there. So this is it until training camp, boys. So let's milk the OTAs as much as we can. Let's have these conversations. Come on, fellas.
Yeah, give me the wear and tear. Give me the load, like Travis Kelce says. Give it all. But no, it's a great Tuesday. That was a wild quote, by the way, too. I don't know if you guys saw that yet, but yeah. Travis Kelce had a Jeff line, if there ever is one, on his press conference today. But no, I had a good Tuesday. Nice weather. Got a nice little run in. Busy day. But as always, love coming to the boys. Paul is even more there. 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, this guy
coming on the show. But then it's like, yeah, had a pause.
No, you are right. You are right. We're happy to be here. Like I said, we got a lot to get to. Lions posted defensive assistants and offensive assistants. They both spoke to the media today. We're going to go through some of what the defensive assistants said, what stood out to us. Then tomorrow we're going to go through offensive assistants. So you can check that out. Detroit Lions YouTube page. They dropped it like an hour ago. So
a lot, it's like a movie.
Yeah. I mean, hey, better than going live at 8 o'clock. I'll take the drop before
that's
the
true.
show.
That's
fair.
They
do be doing that too. But hey, like I said, we got a lot to get to. Before we get into the Jake Bates stuff and OTAs and some of the observations from practice today. We have a lot of video footage to get to as well. And we also have a question in the second hour relating to OTAs that we're going to answer.
Oh, my gosh. And they dropped a player video 3 minutes ago. They just don't stop. They
really?
I mean, what are we doing here? We might be able to watch the players video together.
That's just it. Let's react to it. We can just react to it as a whole. We can react.
Maybe the players one. It's only a 6-minute video, so maybe we could do that at some point.
You know what? The people probably were. They're probably on board with that as well. Maybe we should watch it.
Yeah.
We just got to keep us on the screen. We can't just put the video up. We've got to so we don't get taken down.
Yeah, we'll watch it. We'll do a little watch party. All right. You know what? Screw it. Let's get right to it. Let's watch the players. I just saw they put it out. I see Colby Sorsdal, so I'm immediately intrigued. So let's get the video up, boys. I think that's a good idea.
6-minute video. Like the other ones, obviously, those are 40 minutes each. That's tough, but the players one, we can roll with that. The last time we did a video reaction, I was by myself. None of the boys wanted to make content with me. I was solo live for day 3 of the NFL draft.
Oh, I had family, Boone. Wasn't
all right.
Not a one
NFL draft. No, it's all good.
Yeah, we were all there.
Jeff's tired. It's all right. Let's go, boys. No, it's good to have the boys.
I didn't like that stray. Yeah, just kind of threw that in.
It's honest. The people know.
He runs everything now.
The people were in the chat being like, "Hey, we go, Boone."
I'm telling you, it's getting to his head. I tried.
What?
I think so.
What is?
Tried calling me out for more than just college football yesterday with the take.
No, I mean that was college football. Let's move on.
I was getting your head, Boone.
You're in the wrong.
Stay humble.
Stay
humble. Stay grounded.
Are they shooting this with a Nokia? I mean, this. Sorry to roast the Lions here, but this quality is not great. But let's
Jeff, before I would talk, it would make sure it's not your like computer or internet, because I could be wrong. Press play. Let's see.
Oh no, it's still ass. Okay, let's let's begin.
Sense of what's been
there it is.
The most challenging things to learn, or where you think the biggest jump is going to come from college to the pros?
I would say the biggest challenge is nickel for me. Nickel in college when I got in was strictly pass down, so it was third and long or third when it's pretty much getting a pass. Now we got a base defense here, so you got to learn some of the gap schemes and some of the places you may fit.
There's something about you and Terrion together. I mean, kind of the brotherhood. you're both in, same draft class. Just talk about that relationship and how you guys kind of fuel each other.
We from the SEC. I feel like the SEC the best, and that's the closest thing to here. So I always support my SEC guys. I met Terry at the combine. Obviously, we spent a lot of time there because going in, we was kind of like top 5 corners going out. So we spent a lot of time together. He's a great dude, and his room is right across the hall from mine where we stay right now. So I got to talk to him a lot.
There's a ton of competition, obviously, in that defensive backs room. How much fun is that for you to be part of that, knowing that you really can play your way into any position?
I mean, that's extremely fun for everybody because somebody might do something better than others, but we all in the same room. So when one get coached, we all get coached, or when one know a certain technique or how to identify something. Like we got cards here, we got Meek, they're older guys, and they're treating.
We're working, boys.
Teaching us the steps of the way.
Do you and Terry feel like rookies out there? Like you're learning a lot, or do you feel like you can fit in pretty quickly?
I mean, you feel like rookies, but at the end of the day, if you feel like a rookie and you let the moment get too big for you, then what are you? So, you got to put yourself on the same pedestal as them. Those guys pretty much get paid too, and we get paid too as well. So it's a privilege, and competition is what we like to do.
What's the best advice you've gotten from a veteran in your room?
The best advice on the field is stay in the playbook because you never know your number called. Off the field, save your money.
That's actually good.
Yes, ma'am.
Careful with you throughout the spring here a little bit.
Can't hear what the hell bro said.
They were just doing that because what happened, during my season, they just wanted to take it step by step. They didn't want to rush nothing, but I was fine this whole time, so I just stayed with the plan, stayed getting strong and getting healthy. And when it's time to show everybody, it's time to show everybody.
And you were outside a little bit today, obviously. I mean, we all know you have that in you, but is there any benefit to playing, doing a lot of inside right now, sort of getting that slot locked down and then, I guess, progressing to
versatile is what you want to be. So I play corner. That's something I can add. Or, nickel. You never know what happens in the course of a season. Somebody go down. Injuries happen. I've been a part of those as well. But as much as you know, you can help the team as much as you can.
What's the plan for you between now and when you come back?
Playbook. Keep my weight. Keep 191. I feel good. I like it. And, have fun with my family as much as I can because now I'm trying to win the Super Bowl.
As an offensive lineman,
well, let's start with that.
Colby came in hot.
Yeah.
As an offensive lineman.
Yeah, we'll get, actually, I have to get this lower third off. That's awkward. Okay, let's get this on. It's based on what Ennis said there. I think the first thing he said about how it's difficult to play nickel, that's something that also was said in the coaches interviews. And I think it was from their safety coach, I believe. I believe that's who said it. But playing nickel's the hardest position because not only do you have to be really good against the run and be able to stop that, but you also have to be great in coverage. And you're being asked to do things of a linebacker, of a safety, guard like a corner. And that's why when we talk about who's playing nickel, we have to also factor in who's probably someone that they can trust to play nickel, which, in all honesty, it points to one player, maybe two, and that's Brian Branch, who did it last year. And I would put a Meek Robertson in there, but I just think if you have someone in there that can play, that would be Brian Branch to me. So. Not that we didn't know nickel's not a new position, but hearing them say that and hearing Rakestraw kind of reiterate that, Brian Branch would be the guy that I personally would trust the most to play nickel, for being honest.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see just between him and Iffy, because I know Iffy they put in the box a lot too, and if what they want to do as far as do they want to move Branch to strong safety full time, because I don't see Kirby ever playing strong safety or nickel, so I feel like Kirby, he's got that free safety spot, but they could also move Iffy there. So I think Iffy's another guy just because he's 6'3" and he's built like a linebacker. Like as far as the safety goes, he could play in the box for sure. And he has success getting after the quarterback. And obviously he can cover. He's drafted a perimeter corner, so he can do it all as well.
Yeah, dude, I don't even think, guys, like week 1 to week 15, it's going to be completely different. Like the way Rakestraw's talking, he's like, it's difficult, but he seems like, and it's the same with Terry on, like they're both so mature and at such a high level to where, maybe they're going to struggle at first. Certain, like at nickel, he might struggle at nickel, but and it's tough. by halfway through the season, I'm sure like Ennis Rakestraw and even like different, like he's going to end up figuring this thing out. I don't see a guy, as long as he stays healthy, he's that good. And he's got that mind. You could just tell listening to him, like he's got that mindset to where he's going to be able to adapt really well. Like he's already talking about like, hey, these are what the vets are telling us to do. And like, he's talking about just all I need to do right now is just learn the playbook and lock in and kind of like he's a kind of a pro's pro. Like you draft guys all the time who maybe a little immature and like don't really know how to be a pro yet. Like you could tell like Brad Holmes drafted these guys knowing that these are two pros you can bring in instantly. And by the time the playoffs come around, I'm sure both of these guys are going to have some sort of impact. So whether or not like he can't play nickel right away and he feels like, hey, this is tough. Like eventually, like we're not gonna like that whole lineup, that secondary is gonna be completely different than it is going into week 1 versus the Rams than it will be week 14, I'm sure. Whoever we play week 14. Do you guys know what I'm saying? Like that's gonna be a lot different. And I think we're gonna see like some of these guys evolve a lot and just continue to grow and grow and grow, especially at that position.
Yeah, I'll say I do think in terms of how they look, it will be different, but I don't know in terms of personnel how different. Because I think at least if I'm trying to, in the lens of the coaches, like the secondary you throw out week 1, you want those guys that want the cohesiveness to be there towards the end of the season too. Like if you have,
yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why Rakestraw, I agree with everything you said, by the way, about Rakestraw. I think you're spot on. He just sounds, dude's a pro. I mean, how he speaks. The thing I would add to that, and it's not a slight at Rakestraw, I think it speaks more to the depth they have in the secondary room, where with expectations of which the Lions have this year, which is winning a Super Bowl, I don't know if they'd be willing to have that trial and error like mid-season, when you're chasing the number 1 seed. Like, I don't think it would be bad on Rakestraw. I just think you're looking at it like, okay, playing at nickel, like Amik or Brian Branch or Rakestraw. It's like,
I don't think even but I don't even look at it as like a trial and error. I just, hey, the best player is going to play. And when you get down, like a Rakestraw is going to take time. Like Jeff, we talked like a couple weeks ago, you said I think it was you that mentioned like, he's not going to be ready right away. And it's going to be a guy, he's going to be a guy to where eventually when it comes to week 4, week 5, you're going to start seeing him a little bit more because it's going to take time for him to do that. So I don't think it has to do with like trial and error. I think it's just when the time does come to be ready, his ceiling's probably higher than an Amik Robertson at the end of the day. Like there's a reason why he went in round 2 and Amik's been fighting for, positions the last couple of years in the NFL. And he's earned that last year. He started almost all season in Las Vegas. So he's earned that. And the same with Brian Branch last year, but eventually, you would hope a round 2 guy is especially potentially, that ceiling is obviously higher. He got drafted there for a reason. And it was a guy that fell that was a first round projection that we kept seeing in mock drafts when we were going over it. He was someone that was projected to go in the first round. So that's kind of something to where it's like, hey, maybe it's not trial and error, but it's when he does get to that point, then, okay, now we can kind of throw him in there. Let's see what he can do. But not the trial and error. Cause I'm with you on that. I don't want to just start throwing things around there, switching guys in and out. Let's see what can happen. Like, especially when it comes to week 15, you don't want to sit there and be like, we're still trying to figure this out. That's when we can go at AG and be like, what are you doing? Like,
real quick, I just want to add this. What I mean by trial and error is he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought you mean like rotate and figure out who.
No, I meant for him as a player, trial and error. Like just like Terrell, there's going to be things that he does wrong and he's going to correct. But that's why, unless Rakestraw, I doubt he is mistake free all year if he does play. So 2 rookies out there. Who knows though? Maybe they drafted 2 rookies that just are immediately.
That would be nice.
I think immediately great, but.
I think Rakestraw will be good year 1 against the run for sure. When you have like the slot wide receivers that are trying to block him, I think he's such a physical guy. And Amik is too, but I think there's just obviously with the cornerback position, there's going to be injuries that happen, especially if they want to run dime on like 3rd and longs. If he can hold his own, which is if they try to run running back screens, tight end screens, short check downs, and he can just clean everything up and make open field tackles and just build his confidence. That's all I think he needs because he can be a real weapon, especially in the red zone, just because of how physical he is. And he has a nose to just flying to the football. So once the game clicks for him and slows down, I think he's just going to be another spark plug for this Lions defense. He's just going to be smacking motherfuckers left and right.
He might be another one of those guys where it's like, we can't take this guy off the field. We just can't. If he's healthy, it's like, hey, would you pin Brian Branch, Terriana Carlton? Boys, we cannot take those guys off the field. They're just that good. Then you have like a Meek and stuff. You're like, all right, what do we do, boys? but he's
Well, even that, I mean, you have Iffy, Kirby, and then Brian. You have to find a way. That's why it's interesting with Aaron Glenn. You got to find a way. There'll be different packages to get these guys all in the field together. Because I doubt you're going to put Rakestraw in over Brian, Iffy, or Kirby, unless there's a situation like where there's more DBs. And like you said, Lucas, he's good. He'd be great against the run year one.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's going to be some injuries too. So
and that's you are right. That is very true. All right,
every year, especially in the secondary.
Let's get to Colby. All right, Colby, he came in flying. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
The flow.
Let's hear what the big fella had to say.
You take pride in knowing every position.
Can you rewind it a couple seconds?
Adding to your resume of being.
I just want to hear him go. As an offensive lineman.
Have fun with my family as much as I can because now.
Shout out Rakestraw.
As an offensive lineman, you take pride in knowing every position, right? So just kind of adding to your resume of being able to play everything and anything when the time comes is huge. And you saw it last year too. Atlanta was playing tackle. That was my first NFL snaps, and then guard the rest of the year. So I mean, any way that helps the team, for real.
For real?
You know it. Yeah. I mean, I played tackle my whole college career, and now that I have NFL snaps at guard, right, that definitely helps. So I'm definitely comfortable wherever.
What's the biggest difference in this time last year?
Yeah, I'd say maturity. I mean, that's kind of a hard thing to kind of, pinpoint, but I'm out here knowing what it takes to win. I mean, obviously we made it so far last year and how much more it's going to take this year to go where we want to go. So I know what it looks like every day to come out here and be like, all right, let's go. Let's put our workers' hat on and get to work. So. Yeah, I'd say the speed, play fast, coming from William & Mary, it was a little bit different, but now that I'm adjusted to it, it's like, man, let's go. You can't think out there. You just got to go.
Is it kind of a natural tendency to come in feeling like you know too much or like I got this?
I'd say everybody's different. For me, it was like a deer in headlights. You're like, oh man, this is the show, this is awesome. And then it's just like, oh, it's football still, these guys are wanting to punch you.
It's awesome.
So, but no, I think it's different for everybody. And yeah.
What have you said with Manu coming from British Columbia University? I mean, not comparing that to
yeah, no doubt. I thought I couldn't be one up, and then he comes from Canada. I'm like, what the heck? No, but he's doing great. He's doing great out here. He's learning every day, and man, he's a big guy too. So it's awesome to have him out here and working and working with him. So it's pretty cool. No doubt. Yeah, I mean, I love it, right? Like, that's why you play this game. That's why you play in the NFL, right? And this is kind of like, I wouldn't say my first taste of it, but this is coming here year 2. I know what to expect now, and I know what's expected of me. And, putting my helmet on out there and going to compete every day is like, it's all, you can't ask for anything else.
Are there benefits to this work with a lot of that's not in Allen Park this week?
100%. Yeah, you get, I wouldn't say more hands-on work. It's always hands-on, but just kind of being out here and seeing where we're all at as a group, as a group of young guys, especially, everybody knows Frank's the best. So, but, out here and doing the work out here with the young guys is really beneficial for us.
Any big plans for the next 5 weeks?
Not really, just hanging out. I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas, so it's going to be a lot warmer. So, yeah, good. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. I cut it, and it's kind of awesome because it's not over my neck and not, hot. But yeah, less maintenance. I don't know. It kind of turned into a mop towards the end of the year, so I was just like, I'm good. But who knows? Good return. Thank you.
That is your laugh, bro. That is your laugh. He's like, sorry, the comments were absolutely killing me. These people in the chat are just on one. That was
Fat
hilarious.
Stafford's comedy.
Yeah. Someone said it looks like the Booner path going through the drive-thru at KFC every day.
Hey, Colby, very fine player, fine depth piece for this Detroit Lions team. That's why when we were kind of getting into it the one day with Broderick Booner, why I got so concerned. And I understand, you are definitely correct. He's a developmental project type of player, but just hearing him, you can hear the confidence in his voice, the fact that he took snaps last year and it was guard and tackle. So he has that experience under his belt, which he can build upon. So now entering year 2, he's not going in like, okay, I still haven't played any NFL snaps, which I'd be expecting. So it's good to hear him having some confidence, because especially with this Detroit Lions offensive line, there's going to be injuries, but through all 17 games, through every playoff game, that is still the most important part of this team. So Colby's definitely got to be a guy that when his number's called, he's not pissing down his leg. He's holding his own.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of convinced that, like, I get that point. It's just like he was definitely thrown into the fire so early. Like, it wasn't even close to being ready, and it wasn't like it was like a team, like a 2-15 football team. It was a team competing for, essentially a Super Bowl, whether it was earlier in the year or later in the year. Like he was getting snaps in a Super Bowl contending football team with the best offensive line in the NFL. So, like, not even being close to being ready, coming from William and Mary, and being like, hey, go out there and do what Taylor Decker was doing, or go out there and do what, Big V, like Vitae, was doing. Like, that's crazy. So the fact that he was, like, to your point, Lukas, able to get the experience, and to hear him be like, yeah, like, that was like, to be able to, it's eye-opening to go out there and be like, all right, now I know where I need to get, because at least now he has an idea of like the level he needs to get to, and like the speed of the game, and like the size of the defenses he's going to go up, like everything now he knows. So it's like, all right, that kind of helps his development a little bit more, because he got the taste, and he was already going through the development year, and he's probably going to do it this year because you have already a starting lineup. And now he knows, like, this is what I need to do. And that is an advantage over some of the guys that came in, like Chris Mahogany and stuff, because, like, those guys haven't played in the NFL yet. So Colby's, like, able to sit there and, like, this is what I'm working at. I think he's going to be a good depth piece. Like, if someone does go down, I do think Colby might be a name that potentially at some point in the season you're going to see playing. And I think he's going to look a lot different than he did last year. At least you would hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I think he'd be next up if there was an injury on that interior of the offensive line. Because even if something happens with Frank, Graham moves to center, and then you still need a guard. So I think Colby would be the one that would step up. I think in an ideal world, in a world post Kevin Zeitler and Graham Glasgow, to Lions Den's point here, I think Colby and Christian Mahogany would be those two guys stepping right in for those two.
Yeah.
But again, that's up to Colby and really his development, and Glasgow is not Zeitler's on a 1-year deal, but Glasgow sound like a 2 or 3 year deal. So he's here a little longer. So I would assume if we'll see by the end of the year, you'd assume he'd be the better player between him and Christian, that he would get that guard spot after Kevin Zeitler. But I mean, yeah, he comes from a small college, and I think it's a big adjustment to the NFL now. And for him to be thrown into the fire, it either makes or breaks guys. And I think based on what he said, it probably could have been the best thing for him to just be thrown in the deep end, see if he could swim. Obviously, he didn't swim, but we saved him. We threw him a lifeline, and we brought him back, and we're going to trade him, work at it, and throw him back in the deep end eventually. But I like Colby Sorsdal, man. He seems like a level-headed dude. He's down to earth. He gets it.
For sure.
I don't mind it. I'm curious, like you said, Boone, with his development.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like Brad, like obviously, like had a vision when it came to Colby and Christian Mahogany, to where Glasgow is a 2 or 3 year guy, to where he's on I think a 3-year deal, but he might not. He is a little older, so maybe he's not going to be playing at the high level for the next 3 seasons, to where potentially you're going to need someone to replace him. And Zeitler, like, he's on a 1-year deal, so like I think the long-term plan, like we are starting to see, and we will in the next year or two, Brad Holmes development guys start to kind of come in and, make an impact. That's the Colby, that's the Christian Mahogany, because you're going to have to replace this offensive line at some point. Like the Manu in a couple years, in 2 or 3 years. Hopefully he turns out in that, because, Taylor Decker's contract, he's getting older.
Yodi?
Like there's just guys like the development I think you're going to start seeing. I don't know about Yodi though. Maybe.
Hey, NFC Championship game, he was out there. Valuable reps.
He was, yeah.
Yodi. Yeah, and also Colby, he mentioned the versatility. He played guard. He played tackle his first game, and he played tackle in college, and then he played guard. And I see people in the chat and Steve's comment, they really got to start thinking about Decker's replacement. Like that's where Colby's versatility does kind of benefit the team, because what's his career look like? Is he going to be a guard? Is he a tackle? I don't know. The coaches probably know that more than me, but at least he has experience playing both. So again, if he really lives up to the hype, then he could play left tackle, or if you want your best tackle on the left side because you have a right-handed quarterback, then you'd play right tackle.
I do remember
something in no gut.
There was a report out of camp last week. I think it was. I don't know if it was Tim Twentyman or if it was. I can't remember who it was. Maybe we can ask the doc about this week. But I think someone did mention that Colby was playing every position throughout the offensive line at one point during camp.
Impressive.
Like both left and right tackle. Like he came in for Penei Sewell at one point. He came in for when Taylor Decker was out, I believe, a couple weeks ago or the first week. I think he was in there for Taylor Decker. I think at one point, I think Frank was out as well at a point, or maybe the whole time, and he came in at center. And I think he played both guards. I can't remember who made that report, but I do believe at every point of camp, Colby was the only guy that went through every single position. And it seemed like the report that I heard, it looked like Ben Johnson and those guys are trying to train him and make him kind of that Swiss Army knife of the offensive line for injuries and kind of for that backup, to where if someone does go down, he's the guy that you can kind of put anywhere, which is smart. Like that's smart to do that now and start saying, like, we know you're versatile. You've done it in the past. Let's get you reps at all these spots here.
Yeah.
That's what Graham was last year.
Yeah, Graham is, Graham can play center, play guard. I still am a little worried about the future at center. That's probably where I'm looking at the most. But regardless, they have some interesting players that could develop into something.
That's where I think I know it's way too early, but if I do imagine, I think that's where they go heavy in the draft next year, or at least over the next 2 years. I think offensive line, because I know that we all want Mahogany and Manu, and you can just keep going of all these developmental offensive line pieces. But at the end of the day, I think it is smarter just to either through free agency like they did with Zeitler, but to go out and get legitimate dudes, because I think offensive line is just something not to mess around with, because it is just something that is so important and revolves the whole offense around.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if they took a center in the first round, to be honest with you.
Especially with Frank. As soon as you win a Super Bowl, Frank's gone. If you win a Super Bowl this year, Frank's gone instantly.
Yeah.
Like as soon as
even guys like Decker too. But Decker did say he still feels like he has a lot of ball
left. You think Frank's gone if they win a Super Bowl?
Oh,
yes.
If they would have won a Super Bowl, if they would have beat the 49ers and beat the Chiefs this year for a Super Bowl, Frank would have been gone. That was the argument to where when they lost, and that was where I kind of got defensive a little bit, where people were like, "Oh, is Frank going to retire? Is he going to retire? Like it's up in the air." And that was, I don't know if you guys remember the show we did, and I was like, "There's no way Frank Ragnow retires. If he just played that whole season with that toe injury and he's doing all this rehab just for it to fall short when you finally, like, you've been in this Detroit Lions organization for how long, got drafted in the first round, and you finally got there and fell short. There was zero chance he was going to retire. But if like he's going to play until, like, I think through either his contract or a Super Bowl, like that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think his contract is up. I think he has 2 more seasons left. Could be wrong on that.
See, I could see them if they win a Super Bowl. I can see him being like, okay, last year my contract, let's go get another one.
That's where I think like it's out on top, kind of. I think it's out on top. Like I just did it. Like this is all I wanted to do in Detroit was win a Super Bowl.
Because Kelsey did that. Jason Kelsey,
but Kelsey
return.
Kelsey wasn't going through what Frank's going through essentially with that toe and that whole, like, the toe where it's like non-rehabable, can't get surgery. Like that, there's a difference I think with the Kelsey situation.
Yeah. And I think Kelsey's like 10 years older. So there's a little difference there. But let's play some of the clips here we got from the defensive assistant coaching staff, because Terrell Williams, he spoke. Kelvin Shepherd spoke, which I actually, Mm-hmm. When he speaks, I'm like, okay,
listen.
This guy.
We listen.
Yeah, he's DC. Like you said that a while ago, Lukas. He is the way he just approaches the media, like the way he just addresses it. I'm like, oh, this guy, I could see him in like a locker room, just absolutely commanding.
He's after AG. He's next up.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Let's play some of what Terrell said, and then we'll get to Kelvin Shepherd. But we'll start with the defensive line coach, because he had some great things.
When he was drafted, but his first year, they never shied away from the fact that it was developmental year for him. He spent most of his years a healthy scratch on game days. You see him out there; he stands out in terms of size. Just looks different than next to many of the defensive linemen. What is the approach for you as a coach when you're still kind of building a foundation of a young player? Like, where do you start to get to the point where you can start building the building blocks on top of that foundation?
Well, he's still a rookie in my mind because, like you said, he didn't play very many snaps. So developmental players, sometimes guys look at that as a negative. I look at it as a positive. And truth be told, if you're a great player, you're still developing. And some guys are just coming from a little further back. But I think Broderick is his game is going to have to be when pads come on, and again, we do what we can do out here, but you can't, it's hard to judge a nose tackle without shoulder pads on completely, because I mean, you can get away with some things out here right now that you can't hide from in training camp and in football games, but we'll find out long before the games start whether to see how far he's come. But I think I think everybody looks at where a player was drafted and think, okay, well, this player should be this, but everybody learns and develops at a different rate. So I still see him as a developmental player, just like I see Liam McNeil and Hutch and all those guys are still developing players because they're all just so young. I mean, I was looking at it the other day. I mean, it's a lot of 25, 23, it's a lot of young dudes in that room, which is a good thing. I'm excited to work with all those young guys.
What do you do with?
Yeah, I mean, hey, he was showing some love to Broderick, and I think he made some great points there. One of the things he said that we've discussed too is sometimes we get obsessed with where a player's drafted, which I do think should be factored into. If you take a guy, I mean, high in the draft, you should definitely factor into it. But once you get past the second round, in my opinion, it gets to that point where teams take guys that are developmental players. And to the point he made there, like, it's not just Broderick. There's a lot of players that are still developing, maybe not to the same extent as Broderick or Colby or Gio Manu, but I get the point he was making. I mean, the guy, again, I've never heard Terrell Williams speak yet, so it was nice to hear his
very well.
He had a lot of key things in press conference.
Yeah, like the whole press conference he had with everything, like he said, was spot on. I think Terrell is going to be, like, just listening to him and his perspective on the defensive line and he is going to make a huge difference. The Broderick thing, I do think people get caught up a lot, like, especially, and it's easy to get caught up on the situation with a guy like Broderick Martin because your defensive line hasn't been great. So it's easy to be like, hey, you got this guy, you drafted him, you traded it essentially, to get to the third round to get him, and he's not making the impact. So I do think that's where people kind of get caught up in. But again, like Terrell said, this year, and this is the conversation with Klotz we've had, that he's basically going into his rookie year because last year was such a big development year. And now you're getting him with Terrell Williams for a whole offseason to develop, get around DJ Reader, get around Aleem more, get around some of these guys and just keep developing. And I'm interested. I think, like, all of the question marks out of everything we talk about here, it's like, what is he going to do in training camp? Like Terrell said, like, when he puts pads on, if he takes what he was doing now with pads, we might have a dude. Like, it sounds like it. And Terrell Williams,
we might have a dude, Boone.
Yeah, and Terrell Williams is the best in the league at what he does, at taking guys like Broderick Martin and turning them into stars. And Broderick Martin, I've said it a million times, he has every intangible that you need to become a star. He has the size for it. He literally has everything. It's about just going out there and doing it and getting put in the positions to do it. And he's starting to kind of come around a little. That's why that sometimes, guys, it's better for a player just to have a development year. Sometimes you just need it. Sometimes you need it. I didn't get put on a show at our previous place. It's the day one when I walked in. I needed to learn and get better, and we all did. Like, all three of us on here right now took time for us to get to where we were. Like, everyone needs that. Broderick Martin just needed more of it. He needed to sit there. He needed the coaching. He needed the vision. And he needed, like, all right, what do I need to do? I need to fix my body. I need to eat better. I need to work out this way. I need to do this. And Terrell Williams is coming in there and now being like, this is it. This is what you need to do. I'm putting it on the platter for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to hear it again. I'm more optimistic about Broderick, but it's still one of those things where I need to see it first, because I do think it's right now, obviously he's not going to be starting, but he needs to. And this year, I think it is fair to expect him to be a solid piece in that rotation after DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil. I think it would be a little concerning to see a guy or a player like Mekhi Wingo playing in front of Broderick Martin, but that could not be the case. And Broderick could be a really good rotational piece for this defensive line unit, but that's still, like Terrell just said, is still yet to be seen. So I am optimistic, but I don't put him in the Levi O conversation because he is a developmental piece. And I think Levi was a guy that you could have played day one, but he had that back injury. And I think that's just something that's always going to be lingering. But with Broderick, he's lost a lot of weight, so you can tell that he's taking this very seriously. And to your point, Booner, with Terrell Williams in there, that's the guy that made Jeffrey Simmons take that next level. That's the guy that allowed D'Amico Autry to take that next level. Harold Landry in Tennessee, he did his thing down there. So he's a guy that's a proven track record. And I think he's going to do the same thing in Detroit.
Yeah, I do agree with Terrell Williams in his ability to develop players. Obviously, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink. So it's up to Broderick too to put in that work. And you see the effort. I mean, he's lost weight. He's dialed in. But like you said, Booner, he's got to actually go out there and do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, he is a big man. He's 6'5", 300 pounds. But there's a lot of 6'5", 300-pound guys that didn't amount to anything in this league. So, you know, there's a lot of things that he, like Terrell said, when pads come on, he's got to show it and put it together. You know, so I'm optimistic about Broderick. I'm not going to, you know, harp on him about last year. I like I said, you got to see him. And, you know, if you want to call it his rookie year, cool. I don't care. I think this year would be probably more fair to evaluate him. But in terms of like a ceiling, I'm still not and again, could be wrong here in the future, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to be, you know, I saw someone in the chat mention the all pro stuff when we laughed at it. Like, I still don't like all pro.
Who laughed?
Chris Jones.
Who laughed?
I did for sure.
That's exactly why I sound.
Let that man wait a year. Give him another year.
That's Chris Jones.
When we were getting into it though, Boone, I was like, people act like he's being all pro, and that's why I'm like, no, like I just don't see that. He could be developed. Like I said, I think his ceiling could be like a Grover Stewart type of guy, and I think for a third round pick, that's amazing. But I just think some people just look at 6'5", Jeff's point. Like, there's a lot of guys who just are 6'5" and huge, but if they can't keep their feet, if they can't keep their pad level low, if they can't finish that after the tackle or through the tackle, then it doesn't matter. So it's just, I think people need to pump the brakes if they think he's going to be that caliber player. But I should have pumped my brakes, I admit. I'm just throwing him right into the Levi O conversation just because he is a developmental piece.
Yeah, and you can go with the all pro, Boone. I wouldn't go that far.
I would say all pro, but like I think there's opportunities for him to grow. Like eventually,
we all agree there.
You can't sit there and keep DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil forever. Like one of those guys are going to leave. Aleem, you know, DJ Reader might end up getting a little too old. Someone's going to step in. I think it's hard. It's one of those. It's like the conversation yesterday that I had where it's like it's hard to say whether or not, you know, a guy's going to get to that level until he actually gets out there and gets that opportunity. Like with Broderick, he has the size, the intangibles, he has everything. We just haven't seen him out there for a full season to see, at his ceiling. Like his ceiling could be where he goes out there and he becomes an all-pro defensive tackle potentially in the future, but we don't know. But like, yeah, I guess if he's a Grover Stewart, that's as a third-round pick, thank you. That's beautiful from Brad Holmes. Like, great. That's a great development pick there.
What if I told you he'll be DJ Reader?
I'd be telling you might be smoking something, but I'd be happy with it. Like if it happened.
There's another point to this. 0-time Pro Bowler, 0-time All Pro. So, like, that's why we laugh at All Pro, because it's like, if he's that, I'm cool. Like you said, I'm not saying, but that's a guy who has no, and I think DJ Reader is a really good player, but like, if he could just be a contributor, I would be happy. Like that's where I'm at with it,
And Booner, this is a thought process. Take me down the Booner path here with Broderick Martin, just because we just heard Colby talk about, I mean, coming from William and Mary, coming from Western Kentucky like Broderick did, there's going to be a eye-opening moment like, oh shit, this is what the league's all about. And stopping the run with the Detroit Lions, that's what the defense is all built around. So the day that Broderick does have to start, if that's what the path does lead down on a Super Bowl contending team, does that make you nervous or no?
No, I mean, no, I think down the line, because again, I think if you can develop him correctly in your development within your program, like Terrell Williams is working with him, it doesn't scare me. Like not this year, but the year after, if DJ Reader ends up, you end up moving on from him. I'm not going to sit there and Broderick Martin proves that he can hold his own and he could take that next step. Like there are going to be times on this football team, whether it's the defensive side or offensive side of the ball, to where I think all of us are going to have to be comfortable with moving on to different players like that, like a Broderick Martin. And it's like that's where you hope like that development within the organization. Like Dan said it last week that he takes so much pride in all these guys on the team like Broderick and stuff now, because those are the players that he's brought in to develop. So if he ends up like some of these guys don't work out, that's on them. So like, do you trust the development program that they have put in place there? I think like with Broderick, like in Terrell Williams and him behind those two guys with Mac and DJ Reader, I think in a year or two, I'm trusting him to be able to take over if you need that. It's the same thing on the offensive line. Like eventually you would hope like Christian Mahogany is ready to go in 2 years and that development process and that project works out. And you could say, yep, if you have to move on from one of these 35-year-old linemen, we trust we can do that. It's the same thing with Broderick to me. Like it's the same exact thing. And hopefully like we draft an edge rusher, or it's the same thing like I actually never mind. I was going to say Jack Campbell, but Jack Campbell's a first-round pick who's just got all the talent, so it's a little different. Yeah. But like an Iffy, when he's developing the last 2 years and fighting injury and just in the off season, just sitting there, just working. You're like sitting there and you're hoping like eventually, like we hope that he can step up. Like we've worked with him for 2 years now. Eventually, he can step in and take over for a Tracy Walker. And guess what? Last year he stepped in for Tracy Walker and did it. So
stepped
like
in for CJ Gardner-Johnson, took that man's job, kicked him out the city, ran him out of town.
So like essentially like that's where it's like, okay, like you're hoping this development works. And now that Terrell's there, like Terrell, I don't know about you guys how you feel about listening to him speak, but like not even just him speaking about Broderick, but like talking about Levi and talking about Hutch. I don't know if we have the clip of Hutch, of him talking about Hutch. I think I sent the number, but him saying about how he feels like Hutch is even a guy that's still developing and he's like a top 6 edge rusher in the NFL. And he's like, oh yeah, no, he's still developing. He's still getting better. Like, that's scary, man. That shows that those guys can take it to a different level.
You can tell he has a lot of wisdom when he talks.
Yeah, for sure. Been around the game a long time and he's elite at it.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it is a good point because he even changed positions. Like he was a corner, and he went to playing safety. If Broderick can be, the starting nose tackle post DJ Reader, I'm cool with it. So that's kind of my expectations for him. But Calvin Shepard spoke on the defensive line as well. So let's get to that clip, and we'll hear what he had to say because he was hyping up a player that has been making some noise lately. So let's hear from the man himself.
I think Aleem said he envisions destruction playing next to DJ Reader. What can those guys do for the guys in your room?
Well, tell Aleem I envision it too, so he better make it happen. Like that sounds good, but we got to put the pass on and make it happen. DJ Reader's been, if not the best, one of the, in my opinion, top 5 defensive tackles defending the run in this league for a while. We all know that. But again, that's what he's done in the past before he put on this uniform. Aleem is a guy on the come. The same thing out of Aleem. I know the expectations T have for Aleem. We feel like he still hasn't tapped into his full potential, and he knows that. So you make sure the next time you talk to Aleem Coden, and I said he better put that vision into reality, because that'd be a thing of beauty for guys like Jack, Enzo, D-Borns, because it frees them up. It allows it. You got to hang on double teams on those guys who's blocking us. You know what I mean, kind of thing. So it's going to be a pleasure playing behind him. And Levi Onwuzurike is another D lineman I want to shout out, a guy that's worked through injury, and he's really progressing, a guy that we're excited to play behind this year as well.
Hey,
I didn't like that ending, Coach. I didn't like it, but hey, if he's saying it, you listen. That's my coach. That's my coach.
Yeah, I mean that. Levi Onwuzurike.
It just keeps popping up, dude. It's just like Levi.
It's like a little fly. He just keeps flying around. You're swatting at him, and he's just kind of hanging around. He's showing up. He thought he was dead.
Linger.
Yeah, he's lingering. So I think that's good. I do. Levi with that back injury, he's never really been healthy, and when he was out there, dealing with an injury. He didn't look great, but a lot of hype. I know it's early. It's early. Got to see him with the pads on. But I read something. He was playing on the edge a little bit. Had him on the edge. Could I interest you, Klotz? Little Levi action off the edge? Come on.
I think that I feel like that's just not his role. That's going to be something he's going to develop into. And you already got Josh Pascal, and I think Mekhi Wingo potentially could make some noise there. So again, I'd be happy to be proven wrong. Like I'm not preying on Levi O's downfall, even if I make it seem that way. I hope he has success in the NFL. I just still align with, I don't see it happening. I'm listening to Coach Shepard. I believe that he is doing good in OTAs. But again, it's what you can do during the game, weeks 1 through 17 and in the playoffs. And I don't think that Levi will be a guy that contributes. But I am happy to hear how he's going about Aleem McNeil and keeping him grounded and just being real about it. Like, yeah, it's nice to think that. But Aleem saw visions last year with, I believe it was 5.5 sacks, might have been 6. And then the year or prior to that in the New York game where he absolutely dominated and shut down Saquon Barkley. So you've seen these spurts with Aleem, but it's time for him to consistently do it. And there's no excuse this year when you have DJ Reader, when you have Aidan Hutchinson, and you have the emergence of Jack Campbell behind him, and you know what Alex Anzalone already is. So Aleem, big years in store, but he's got to prove it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Aleem, it's not that pressure's on, but there's a point in every like big time player's career, and I'm sure you guys agree with me on this, to where it's like you have to take that next step. And it's like, if you don't, like, you either take that next step and you become elite and one of the best at that position, or you just keep doing what you're doing before. And I think like this is that year to where for Aleem, this is like, it's a contract year, even though he might not be thinking about it. Contract year, he is completely set up for success, like Klotzy said. Like with Hutch on one side of him, DJ Reader there as well. And hopefully you have a guy, you know, James Houston, Marcus Davenport, and you have the secondary back there to where now you're working with Terrell Williams. You're getting developed that much more. It's like, take that. This is a year for you to take the Pro Bowl step. Like, you become a Pro Bowler this year. Do it. Maybe like the Justin Matabuke thing that I know I keep bringing that up. Maybe not the 12 sacks that he had, but go out there and get 8 or 9. Go out there and, like, you got injured last year and you were on track to go get 7 or 8. Go do that this year. Like, it is a make or break year, I think, for Aleem to be able to say, this is what we need to do. And it sounds like Terrell made comments too. I know we didn't listen to that. We listened to the Shep thing, but Terrell made comments as well about Aleem saying, like, this is like, I told him that, like, this is a guy that needs to work on a lot of things as well. He might have been great last year, but he has so much more potential and such a higher ceiling than what he has now. So like, if Terrell even notices it and says, yeah, we're going to work with him, I think there's a chance you do really see like Aleem McNeil in the Pro Bowl this year, because he just like, and he's one of those guys, like, that's the thing with this whole football team, the mentality of each individual. Mentally, they're just like, I need to be great. I want to be great. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, you're spitting facts there, Boone.
Thank you.
And to go with it before you go, Jeff, the fact that even Aleem, we talked about it last week, where Aleem, they brought up, like, how does it feel entering a contract year? And he's like, I'm not even looking at it like a contract year. Like, my agent's handling everything. So the fact that he's approaching with that mentality, I think will benefit him, because he knows he's got to step up, but for him just to get a straight line vision of just, I need to be better this year, I need to take that next step. He's locked in all on that and not outside of the game.
Yeah, he's dialed into football, which is like a common theme amongst all these Lions players. It's really, and I think Terrell mentioned this, consistency with Aleem McNeil. That's kind of what he's targeting. He mentioned that just being great, because guys, and this is across all sports, but players can show flashes of greatness or flashes of being good, but those who are great, truly great, are consistently great, you know, at least for the most part. And that's where Aleem, I think, has to get to. And I think Aidan is actually another one that has to get to that. You know, not that he's not there, but he's still a developmental player, like Terrell said. Like, he has another level he can get to where he's just going to be an absolute sack machine. So I think that goes across a couple of the guys in the defensive line. They're all young, so plenty more growth for all these guys. Aleem McNeil, yeah, big year expected from him, and also a lot of money expected for him. So that's probably one of the bigger storylines to follow this year. Is his,
I think
his contract.
He's gonna be the first guy I think we see get franchise tagged, just because I don't think, because if you get franchise tag, you're getting a good amount of money. And he's going to be playing for a Super Bowl contender. Yeah, so it's a 1-year guarantee. So either You get another run at it and you work out another deal long term, or you go run at a Super Bowl, build your stock up, and you go get paid by somebody else. But I just think if you can franchise tag him, you get it done, because I think he's a player that, yeah, you can afford to lose him just because there are so many pieces on this team that are young and you're going to keep adding talent, but you don't want to lose it in Lee McNeil.
No.
I
am interested like how this year goes. I would be very interested to see how this contract situation goes down. Like the money thing. I'm very interested because like the defensive tackles, what is it, 20 million, the highest paid, or around there?
Yeah, it's 20-ish. 20-ish. Are you talking about defensive tackles?
Yeah, Chris Jones is like way
so
more.
Like,
he's like 30, but
I had
Chris
a conversation
Jones.
with someone off here. I can't remember if it was you, Jeff, or Klotz. I can't remember who it was. We were talking about on air one time how Aleem could get to 20 million. But off air, I do think that he's not going to ask for a full. Like, I don't think he's going to fall under that tier 1 defensive tackle. So I think there's a chance, like, if he still has an 8-sack season, like, yeah, he's elite, but he's probably not going to ask for, hey, let me get the number 1. Let me break the market. Like, that might be an affordable option. And then you still have the DJ Reader and then the Broderick. Like, it could end up working out very well for the defensive line.
Yeah,
I would.
But then there's just the Christian Wilkins money. Like, I knew Christian Wilkins was going to get a bag, but Christian Wilkins got paid. I'm excited to see how that works out with him and Max Crosby.
It's a tough conversation. I think that the amount of money a player demands, I guess, is subjective because it depends on who the player is. Some players think selfishly, and I actually tend to agree with that way of thinking personally. If I was a player, that, hey, I'm not playing football forever. I want to get paid. I want to take care of my family. Most athletes end up going broke anyway. Mostly because of bad decisions, but also because money just runs out. I mean, you only play till, especially football, the career's not long, at least for the most part. And if I'm Aleem, I want to get the most money I could possibly get. I don't think Aleem will be like arrogant about it. Like, I don't think he'll be, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, not trying to jump Chris Jones or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, hey, 2025, I want it. I want what Christian Wilkins got paid. I think I'm a better player or whatever it is. Like, I don't see a disc. It's his first contract, and he's a 3rd round pick, right? 3rd round pick.
Yep.
So we talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oh, he's not, it's a guy who hasn't made a lot of money. Aleem's a round ahead of him, so it's not like Aleem's cashing checks either, and I'm sure he makes great money compared to all of us, but in terms of the NFL, like, that dude wants to get paid too.
I do think he wants to get paid. It is interesting still to his interview a couple weeks ago saying, like, I told my agent, don't even talk to me about the contracts this year. Do not care.
That's maturity.
I do think there's a side to where, he wants his money, but hey, like, I think there are people in the game of football. You saw a lot of people in New England for a while that said, like, the money will eventually come, but winning, like, if we keep winning, you will eventually get your money in certain ways. So I do think, like, if you start developing that here in Detroit, guys that are like, yeah, I'll take, the paycheck you'll give me, but as long as we're winning, the money will fall. That was like, what was the saying in New England? Do you guys remember? There was like, they had like some sort of saying, like, if you keep winning, the money will eventually come. Like, everyone will get paid eventually.
Yeah, the playoff bonuses hit for sure. Super Bowl bonuses, all the incentives, money to be made.
It's like every couple of years, this guy will get his contract. A couple of years, you'll get your contract. As long as we're winning, makes everyone happy, boys.
Hey, and real shout out to Dad with Tourette's, man. I have not seen this man in a while, so it's nice to see him in the chat.
Shout out.
I do remember the name. I remember. I got a decent memory. So
very familiar with the name.
Appreciate you for joining there. What were you going to say, Lucas?
Hassan Reddick still holding out.
Him and Aaron missed mandatory minicamp. I know different reasons, but they both.
Did you hear the Hassan Reddick situation though, Jeff?
I know he wants to get paid. I don't know the complete details of it.
When they traded for him, they said that he was like, no, we're all good. Like I don't want to, like, I'll play this year without the contract. I'll go into it and I'll prove it, and then we'll do a deal after this year. So the Jets going into OTAs thought that was the deal. Like, when we traded for him, that was what we heard. We're all set. Like, everything's good. OTAs and mini camps come around, and then all of a sudden he's like, his mind just flipped. You go, I know, I want to get paid. Now he's just not showing up. It's crazy.
Yeah, well,
they traded for him. They I don't know what they gave up. I can't remember, but like that's nuts.
Well, if Very fine player. A player that I was intrigued by. Not a Lion.
player you admire.
I don't want to go that far. I wouldn't go that far. I think he'd be a contributor, very good contributor to this Lions team. I proposed a trade deadline deal. I've moved on. I guess my position on the Booner path. My job partially is coming up with these ideas on how to improve the Lions for the Booner path for winning
You're
Super Bowl.
an account executive.
And in the account executive, basically what my job entails is trying to think of some potential trade options. Hassan, Reddick, Booner, the boss, he shut that one down. I came back. I got Matthew Judon. Wasn't sure with Matthew Judon. I don't know how you feel about that one.
No, you know what, Jeff? You know what I love? This is initiative. This is what we need on the Booner path. This is initiative. This is the things that Dan Campbell. This is the thing that Dan Campbell talks about.
That dude just fed you word salad. All right.
This is initiative. I like this.
And this is why I'm the CPO, and he knows it. That dude just fed you word salad. Okay, Boone. You got
to kiss ass to get to the top. All right.
See, you don't.
Jeff, well, we'll consider. I put that in the back of my head there. I got a question. Follow up question. Who would you rather have, Hassan Reddick or Matthew Judon?
Oh, Judon.
Okay.
Repeat the question.
Reddick or Judon?
I want to see Judon again this year because he got banged up last year, but preferably Judon. He's a monster against the run too.
Judon, I'll say this though.
Sleeves.
I thought we were doing a Judon section the other day, and I took a lot of notes. I don't know where my notes for that segment went, but I will say this. Outside of last year, Matthew Judon did not miss football games. That last year was a one-off for him. That man never missed a game. He might have missed in 7 seasons. Outside of last year, I think he missed 2 total games, if that. So he plays, and when he plays,
he's a Dan Campbell guy. He's a gritty, he fits the mold. But to Jeff's point, he's gonna want to get paid. And
I would pay him right now a 1-year deal because you pay Hutch next year. Just give him. You have extra cap space. Here, that's why you have the extra. Here, Matthew.
I would. He's a guy I would pay, and I wouldn't think twice because he produced in Baltimore and he produced in New England. He probably got a little bit better in New England. So he's a guy that doesn't matter the scheme. He's going to go out there and just contribute.
I'll get that on a deal. The Booner Path will speak with him, and we'll get that on a deal. I have connections in the Judon family. We will make sure we get a deal in there.
Okay,
make it happen, Boone.
I will make it happen. I will reach out this.
Hey, you give Shefty the information for that one.
Imagine
you give him the contract terms,
dude. Imagine if I broke, or not even if I broke the Judon news, but if I set it up, if I was the one that connected Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell with Matthew Judon, that would be something else. I might actually reach out. I might make that. I might connect them together. I might do.
Dan, you'd be like, Dan Booner here. Can I introduce you to Matthew Judon? We can make this happen. He's like, hell yeah, brother. We can make it happen. Let's do it. Now that's how you land that Dan Campbell interview.
By the way, people are saying, Booner, you write notes in crayon. My notes are not in crayon. Pen, yellow pad of paper, and a pen. I am an adult. I am the leader.
Blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
That is actually blasphemous.
The leader of the Booner Path. Come on now. Put some respect on my name.
Yeah, that is wild. The writes notes in crayon.
Guys want me to get Matthew Judon to the Lions, and you guys are just coming at me here.
Booner's writing notes, just a picture of a house or something. He's just drawing on a little pad.
I've got legit notes here.
I believe you. I believe you.
I've got this whole pad.
Let me see the notes.
I don't want to show my notes, dude.
Give a little flash, little flash of the notes. Let's see.
Well, this whole. Whoa.
Okay, that's fair. I don't see any color. I don't see it. It's not a coloring book. Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Just got a big billboard, or what is it
this one. If you guys want to
trying to find the killers, the FBI's got the pin board. He's got the Booner notes.
I've got all of my receiver notes right here. I'll give you guys a preview.
All right, hold on, Boone.
Okay,
let me get you right.
It's fair.
Where's Zay Jones on there?
I don't know. Zay Jones. It's Debo, DK, Terry, Devontae, CD, Garrett Wilson, Amari. T.
If I'm
Higgins
being
is-
honest,
has
I
all their
see that. I
stats.
see this comment, third grade handwriting. If that's third grade handwriting, I'm not showing you my notes. These
Booner,
days.
no,
I've
Booner
got-
does actually have half solid. Like, it's not great, but Booner has way better.
No, my
than I
handwriting is
expected.
third grade material.
I've
Like,
got like coaches' handwriting. You know how like coaches like write a certain way? Because I coached for like 4 years. Like I've been around coaches. They like write
Did you
like
really?
yeah. So like I write like a coach does.
Right.
Jeff's a dick.
No, yeah, I know. I'm kidding. I'm messing with you. All right, let's look at Boone. He's like, "Fuck these notes."
Yeah, I don't know. This is just the turned into I don't know. I was trying to help the people out and get Matthew Judon to Detroit. Now this has turned on me. You know what? I'm not getting Matthew Judon anymore to Detroit. You guys don't want. I was gonna make a couple calls, but I don't know if I could do that anymore.
Oh. Well, let's get to Terrell Williams on Aidan Hutchinson. Because you know what? I did like what Terrell had to say. You know, he was giving some, and he also discussed the he needs help thing, you know, and why relying on others versus him doing it himself. So let's hear what Terrell Williams had to say.
The young dudes, when it comes to Hutch, as good as he's been, how much better can he be? Is there another year? Can he do it on his own, or does he need help on the other side?
He doesn't look pleased.
Well, I don't know who can do it on their own. I mean, I've coached some really good players, and those players, if they're honest, will admit that they need other people. And so Hutch has been he's been unbelievable this offseason, and I think he's made huge strides from the time I arrived and to where we are now. And it's not me, it's him studying tape. It's him asking questions. He's everybody sees a big, tall 97 with long arms and Mr. Michigan and all this other stuff. But what you don't see is the time that this guy puts in, and he's constantly asking questions and studying tape and studying other players and working on his craft. And he is an extremely coachable player. Like, I love the guy because of what he's about. Like, he's about getting better. He's not about the glamour and glitz. He's just a grinder. And we need a lot more guys that have that mentality.
It seems like going into each Lions season the past few years, a lot of the talking focus has been on the offensive line, how good they are, top five, how good they can be. Does the defensive line start to kind of feel that swagger a little bit?
I mean, you know what? The film will tell all of that. That'll tell the story. You know, you can have all the swagger you want in May and early June, but when you put pads on, that'll tell the story. You know, I know that we'll play a certain way. Like, I believe that strongly, and I believe our players feel like they're going to play a certain way. So, you know, my job is to help them get better, but also to build up their confidence. Because when you tell them that they're bad and they're this and they're that, then they start to believe it. And it's important that they listen to who they need to listen to, which is us in this building. And, you know, no offense, but not you guys. Like, you can't define them. We'll define them and what they are and who they are and the way they walk and the way they talk and the way that they play football. That'll come from us in this building.
Oh, well.
Bro, set the tone. Imagine telling him no. Like, no.
Yeah, that dude.
Backhand of a lifetime.
Yeah, he had a lot of gems there. The Aidan thing, just kind of answering that no player has ever done it on their own. So he obviously does need help. It's not an excuse. He was still productive even without help. At all. But he was still. And by the way, Kenji, I was thinking the same thing. I hate the way that you walk. He was saying that at the end there. That's actually DMX, by the way. Even though I love Drake, but I got to mention that. But Terrell Williams, the second part of what he said too, he was honest about the defensive line. All right, he didn't sit there and be like, oh yeah, we got some dudes in this room. He's like, well, we got to see it. We got to judge these guys when they put pads on. So that's also fair. I can't. He could have probably had an opportunity there to try and hype him up, but that's a vet. That's a guy who's been coaching a while. He's like, hey, we're just gonna let it play out. Take it from there. Don't listen to us, by the way. Don't listen to me, Broderick, when I say I don't have faith you'll be an all-pro. That's not a bad thing. It's my opinion. It's a take. Don't listen to it.
Yeah,
right?
please don't listen to don't listen to these guys, Broderick. Do not. The only thing though that he's talking about there with like the Hutch stuff, Klotz, I think you're muted. Were you trying to say something?
No. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, you really talked. I didn't hear anything. The thing though with the Hutch and like Terrell talking about Hutch, if this man takes a step forward and he is just not like he just will not settle and just keeps getting better and better and better and better, this is going to be one of the scariest defensive players in the entire NFL this season. Like if Hutch has that mindset of like, I need to watch game film all day, I need to keep getting better, like my mentality, everything can just get better. Like he, at the end of last year, he already was one of the best edge rushers in the entire league to end last year. Now, if he takes that step forward, I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it, and I'm going to stand on this. Aidan Hutchinson will win Defensive Player of the Year this year. If he is going to step forward that Terrell Williams is saying he's going to do, he ended the season last year almost averaging a sack a game in his last 6 games. In the playoffs, in the biggest moments, in the biggest games. Aidan Hutchinson will go out there, fellas, and he will win Defensive Player of the Year. You will see that jump out of him to where end of the season comes around. Detroit Lions are Super Bowl contenders. They have a chance to go win a Super Bowl. Aidan Hutchinson has 16, 17 sacks. He takes the step that everyone was talking about, and he is right there in that conversation. You'll look at the live odds, and he'll be plus 100. He'll be minus 150. And all the talk's going to be is Defensive Player of the Year. Because you know what this award does, guys? This award isn't just always stats. But what it is, a lot of these awards, it's all talk. It's the hype that comes with it. And guess what with the Detroit Lions? Come week 1, Detroit Lions versus the Los Angeles Rams, Aidan Hutchinson, Ford Field, prime time, Sunday Night Football. Aidan Hutchinson goes out there and gets 2 sacks versus Matthew Stafford. Instantly, right away, Aidan Hutchinson, that is your Defensive Player of the Year leader, week 1. And as soon as that conversation starts, and Klotz, you know this because it happened with Myles Garrett last year, the first 8 weeks. As soon as that narrative gets written on who's going to win Defensive Player of the Year and who's in the lead, that is who the NFL and the media and everyone runs with the rest of the season. And as long as Aidan Hutchinson doesn't flame out and he takes that next jump, he will win Defensive Player of the Year in 2024. And I will stand on that. I will put a bet in on it, and that will be my boldest prediction of the season. Aidan Hutchinson to win Defensive Player of the Year. That is a part of the Booner path. That is Super Bowl and Defensive Player of the Year.
I love it, Boone. I like it. I think he enters that conversation, but I still think, like, if you had to ask me right now, I think TJ Watt's he's going to win it by default because he got hoed last year, and I think people know that he's gonna get that in return. If he just goes out there and beats TJ Watt, I still think he's a better player than Hutch. Now, in 5 years, that conversation, even 3 years, that conversation could be changed. But I think also, they just said it, Max Crosby, ETN, good call. I think Max Crosby, the addition of Christian Wilkins, I think those 2 guys I'd put in front of Hutch. But I think he will be, like you said, Booner, there. He's going to be making some big-time plays in some big-time games for a big-time team, a Super Bowl contender. So he will get some votes. But as far as winning it, I'm not with you there. But I love the confidence. I don't think ignorant. I don't think it's like a blasphemous take by any means.
That's where I will disagree. The Max Crosby, all that. Like I get that, but guess who's going to be on the best football team in the NFL? Like, yes, you can say as a defensive end right now, yeah, you can put those guys ahead of him if you're doing a defensive edge ranking. I'm not doing a defensive edge ranking. I'm making a prediction for this year, saying that the Detroit Lions are going to go win a Super Bowl, and he is going to be the leader on that defense with 16 plus sacks. The narrative will be written in the media, and he will be the absolute leader. Max Crosby gonna be on an 8-win football team. I don't even know who the other. TJ Watt, a 9-win football team.
Oh, Boone. He's won it before.
You know where I'm at with TJ Watt. But Aidan Hutchinson will be on a 13-win football team with 16 sacks and leading a top 10 defense. Yeah, and the narrative will get written, and he will win Defensive Player of the Year. I will stand on that all year long.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a bad take. Like, I don't hate it. If you're asking me, I just think there's guys like Max Crosby and TJ Watt who I think are due for a big year as well. And I agree with you that the narrative's not going to be in favor of Max Crosby, but sometimes there's guys that are just dogs that just win the award because they're just proving the best player. Like Aaron Donald was winning it when the Rams weren't the Super Bowl contender
Trying
that
to
they
make
were.
an exciting prediction.
But I'm with you, but it's like
I don't know to defend it. I'm saying this is my prediction. There's no defending. This is what I think is going to happen. I can't defend it until it
You're
happens.
getting called out. You're getting
You're
called
out.
right
This is my prediction.
That's fine.
You guys should
Boone,
be
I'm
like-
saying
you guys should be like,
I'm
"Go,
just
Boone,
responding
let's
to
go."
Boone. I can't just be like, yes, Booner. Booner, yes. I'm responding. Like it's not a bad take. Like I think he enters that conversation. I said he's going to get votes, but I don't think the votes are going to favor him getting first place. That's all. And that's all it is, Boone.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
I didn't want to have an argument. I don't always want to have an argument. I just want to say this is
I
my
was-
take.
it was more
This
so
is
a
my prediction.
conversation.
Not
It was
arguing it. He's going to win defensive player of the year.
All right. I know that's
He was
what you
telling
said.
you he didn't see it the same as you. That's what, and you know.
I'll use the book. We're having the conversation, boys. We're having the conversation. That's what we're doing here, Boone. I love the take. I told you, I love the confidence. If it happens, we're gonna be celebrating in Detroit. You know that. I'm not gonna be like, no, he won it over TJ. I'm not gonna be like that. Like I'll be happy as hell. I just don't think in 2025, Booner, that's when I think it happens.
All right, I don't. It's going to happen this year. That's my prediction. I don't care what you say. You could say what you want. You're going to be wrong anyways.
Wrong. Fake news. All right, that's fine.
I do think Aidan Hutchinson has defensive player of the year. He has that potential. So I don't hate it if you want to say it's this year. I think he's in the race this year. I do. Because how many sacks you think he would need to be in the race? Probably 15 plus.
15 plus. I mean, dude,
Which
Miles Garrett just won it with 6.
this year.
Miles Garrett
yeah.
just won it with 14. Like, and this isn't a thing to where you could say, well, he could just, like Aidan Hutchinson will go out there and get 2 interceptions in a year. Like he'll go out there and get a forced fumble and score a touchdown. He will do what Miles Garrett could do as well and change games on the defensive end, or defensive side of the ball. Like we've already seen him finish a game versus the Chicago Bears. When you needed a stop, he goes out there, gets a sack on Justin Fields. That's a defensive player of the year type of play. And that was last year. Like he's just getting better. Like guys, if he takes another step forward and gets to 16 plus sacks and their 13-win team, come on. It's all a part of it. And once you have a good football team, narratives start to get written. Miles Garrett should have never won Defensive Player of the Year last year, but guess what? Right off the bat on the season, the narrative was written. The storyline was written. That's how these awards work. Aidan Hutchinson, week 1, 2 sacks versus Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams in Sunday Night Football. Narrative gets written instantly. Starts the season off with 2 sacks, a forced fumble on Matthew Stafford. Now this man is the lead of the Defensive Player of the Year come week 1. Then there's the game versus the Cowboys. There's the game versus the 49ers. He's got the games to go out there and prove it.
What about this one? Andrew Jones. Hutch is going to get the same benefits Hendrickson got this year, who had 17.5 sacks.
No, he won't, because the difference is Aidan Hutchinson's a playmaker. He changes the game. Hendrickson will go out there and get sacks. Aidan Hutchinson will get forced fumbles. He'll get interceptions. And he's going to be on a 13-win team when Hendrickson was on a 8-win team with 17 sacks? Right?
Yeah. I mean, he had 14 the year I think they made the Super Bowl, and 3 forced fumbles. So I mean, it's not.
Aidan Hutchinson is a better player than Trey Hendrickson, and it's not saying that Trey Hendrickson's not. But if you give Aidan Hutchinson DJ Reader like he's got now and Aleem McNeil, there's going to be pressures that were being forced. I mean, outside of Aleem and Hutch, there were really no pressures there. DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil.
That helps him out more. Yeah, like he's got people helping him now.
Booner's just.
This is it. Hey, I want everyone. The Booner path. If you're on the Booner path, that's one of the hills we're dying on this year. And we're gonna. You know what's gonna happen too, guys. And I'm gonna tell you guys and look you guys dead in the eye right now. And I want Lucas. I want you to look at me, and you're gonna be a part of this as well. This is what's gonna happen. Someone needs to write the narrative for Aidan Hutchinson win Defensive Player of the Year, just like the Cleveland media did it for Miles Garrett, and they got national, and he ended up winning it, even though he had the worst second half out of any defensive end that was in the conversation. This show right now, the Booner Path and Booner, we are writing the narrative for Aidan Hutchinson to win Defensive Player of the Year. I will write an article about it. I will do videos about it. I will be at the forefront of it, and he will win Defensive Player of the Year.
What the fuck is that?
We are Klotzy. We are starting the narrative, and we will write the narrative, and we will put it into the media, and that will happen.
As the CPO, I'm all for it. That's me doing my job. Outside of
someone
work,
has to do
I
it.
have other things, but
Someone has to do it. If Cleveland media was able to do it for Myles Garrett and get his name into it,
shithole of a fucking city too.
Yes, and we can do that here in Detroit with Aidan Hutchinson, and we are going to do it. I will reach out to people. I'll reach out to other reporters, and we will push the Aidan Hutchinson Defensive Player of the Year narrative as much as we need to. I will reach out to everyone nationally that I know. We will get this done.
Fair. It's fair. I will. You know what? I will ask you, Boone. This is me just asking. This is like a Q&A. I'm going to ask you and you answer. Okay.
All right.
When you bring up the Myles Garrett narrative, is it fair to say that before this season, the past 2 prior seasons, he had 16 sack a year seasons? Is that fair? Maybe Hutchinson, is that maybe that's why he was getting that type of,
I think it's fair, but he still only had 14 sacks last year. Like, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Again, I think it's part of the narrative.
No, I'm saying about the hype going into this. You know how you said like
the hype
media hyped him
yeah,
up.
But I think you don't need the hype going into the season to win Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's more so like the Myles Garrett thing. I don't think it was the hype going into the year, of more so that he had such a good start to his season to where people started hyping him up after the first couple of weeks. Like, oh, whoa, like this defense, the Browns are winning games solely because of Myles Garrett. Like there were games at the beginning of the season that was happening. I don't think it was the hype preseason. I don't think anyone really gets the hype on those awards outside of maybe MVP preseason to where it makes a difference. I think it's about what you do in the season. I don't think it has anything to do with previous years or anything. Like I truly believed Aidan Hutchinson can win Defensive Player of the Year this year. I don't care about the hype. I just think you're on a Super Bowl caliber team. What you finished the season last year essentially averaging a sack per game.
What's his odds? Do you know off the top?
I'll pull it up right now. But like you ended last year essentially a sack a game to end the season in the biggest games of the year. Carry that momentum over.
You should place a future on it, Boone.
I will. I already said I was. I said
do it on stream. Do it right now.
I'm not going to do it right now, but once I make my preseason, I have a certain time. I'll make my preseason bets. Okay. Don't worry. Don't tell me what to do, Jeff.
All right. Man, Booner's on one today, ain't he?
He didn't like that Hutch pushback a little bit.
No, I want to. This is what it is.
This is how it's going to be. All right.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
The very first person, the guy that is the leader in the clubhouse for Defensive Player of the Year, the most fraud NFL defensive player in the entire NFL.
I already know who it is.
Micah Parsons at plus 600. Should not be there. Myles Garrett plus 650. Second. TJ Watt plus 800. Nick Bosa plus 850. Max Crosby plus 1,000. And then the winner, Aidan Hutchinson plus 1,600. The winner of Defensive Player of the Year.
That's good value, though.
3, 4, 5. The 6th best odds. He's the top 6. Top 6. He's ahead of Josh Allen, Chris Jones, Will Anderson, Daniel Hunter, Montez Sweat, Brian Burns, Hassan Reddick, Sauce Gardner, Trey Hendrickson, Quinnen Williams, Jalen Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Joey Bosa, Bradley Chubb.
So Boone, would you say that's free money?
I don't give out. I'm not a gambling expert. I don't want to get sued or anything, so I'm not going to say free money, Jeff. We're not about that. We don't do that. But I will say, I love it. Plus 1,600. I love it.
Right.
I love it.
That's fair.
That is going to be like the Booner Pass is always number one. The Super Bowl for the fans and the Super Bowl for Detroit. I will stay at the forefront for that forever. But right with that Booner path, it's Detroit Lions defensive end, Aidan Hutchinson to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Did you just do the Quinnen Williams? Did you just do the bless you? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was going to do it. I was kind of waiting. No one did. So, like, all right, I'll go fuck myself.
You did it pretty quick. Like, sneeze. Bless you. Thank you.
Yeah, you said it like instantly.
I actually,
there was no chance.
I want to ask you guys a question before we move on, as we're moving on here. And the question is, with OTAs, minicamp now over, training camp, we're getting there. But before training camp, who is 1 to 2 players that you're looking forward to or think will break out come training camp?
Like as far as like the
training camp starts, pads are on.
I will reframe the question to where now that we saw what OTAs, we saw minicamp, we kind of saw the players that were, have been in the media now that potentially can take that step. What 1 or 2 players are you like looking at in training camp now that you're like, okay, like I'll give my first one off the bat here. He was talked about all through OTAs and minicamp. It's Jack Campbell. Like I think like this is the player that I'm going to be looking at the most in training camp, thinking like, is he going to take the step forward to be the number 1 linebacker on this team? Ansel's obviously going to have the green dot, but I truly think Jack Campbell can go in there and get 135 plus tackles this year. Like, I don't think that's crazy. And going into training camp, I like his communication, like how does he look? Everything that we've heard out of minicamp and out of OTAs is Jack Campbell's already taken that step, and he's going to be back in his righteous position, and they're moving him back, and he's going to be taking that step forward as one of the best linebacker on this team. And I think he's a guy that could be a Pro Bowler this year when it comes to the linebacking room. So I think Jack Campbell for me was like my number 1 guy that I thought of going into training camp. This is the guy to keep an eye out. This is the guy that's going to take a step forward.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, I think I'm going to take one out of your playbook. Josh Paschal. I think Terrell Williams, I think he's the one guy that Josh Paschal can really, I should say Josh Paschal, the fact that Terrell Williams is there, he's the guy that can be unlocked the most just because he's just been extremely raw through his first 2 years, but he is a 2nd-round pick. He is a guy that you can see once he finds the game can be extremely consistent because I don't think he has a very high ceiling, but he does have a very high floor. So once he gets the game going, I think he'll be a very consistent player, a guy that I think can give you 6, 7, maybe 8 sacks a year, but he's got to reach that point. And I think if he does, the fact he can play inside and outside and give this team different looks, when you don't have a premier edge rusher on the opposite side of Hutch, there can be some value there. So if Josh Paschal really takes a step and maybe even gives Marcus Davenport a run for his money as far as splitting the reps, and he can kind of take some of that off the field with Marcus Davenport, take him off the field a little bit, just because Davenport's going to be out there regardless because he is an edge. I don't think Paschal's a guy you just throw out on the edge regularly. I don't think he ever is going to be starting out there, but I do think he's a guy that can make a difference out there. So if he can really have a good camp and get himself starting week 1, or maybe not even starting, but just heavy on the field week 1, it'll be exciting to see.
Josh took a lot of reps with the first team too. So that's someone that I had too, but I had some extra ones. I was gonna say Terrion Arnold, but I think everyone would probably look forward to Terrion Arnold. I'm gonna go with CB1. I'm gonna go with Carlton Davis. That's someone that I'm probably the most one of the guys that I'm most excited for, given the expectations we all have for Carlton Davis, which is being a pretty much solidified CB1, someone that you can depend on to guard the Justin Jeffersons of the world. You even go to the Bears, the Keenan Allen or DJ Moores of the world. You go to the NFC, the CD Lambs of the world. That's someone that I think I'm very keyed in on to watch because that's when pads come on. He's going to be facing Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think that there's going to be some battles there. So, and we saw that clip of him getting burnt by JMO, but I think that for the most part, he's been really good so far. It's early, but that's someone I'm paying attention to this upcoming training camp.
Sorry, I had myself muted. I apologize. Another player too, and this one's just the obvious one because his name's been, I think, talked about the most through minicamp is Levi O.
Yeah. Levi.
I just think the Levi. I don't think it's that. I'm not. And again, this is one of the guys. This is one of the guys where I'm not saying he's going to Klotz. I know you're getting ready to.
No, I get what you're saying, bro.
Not going to, but it's the one that I'm going to keep an eye on come training camp because he has been talked about the most out of any defensive player, any player probably on this team over the last 2 weeks period. And every single practice that media is at, we hear, oh, he had 2 sacks today. He would have had 2 sacks again today, 2 more today, a couple more pressures, a forced fumble today. And it was every single day you've heard Levi O, his name come out of people's mouth. So the only thing that everyone keeps saying is, can he do it with pads on? So I think, to me, the number one guy to keep an eye on for training camp, maybe outside of the Jack Campbell, is the Levi Onwuzurike.
Don't you dare.
Is
number one.
I think it's important. Like I'm not saying he's going to take the step, but I'm saying to keep an eye out on. Because, everyone should have their eyes on Levi. Like, is he going to take the step that everyone's talking about in minicamp, or was that all a fluke? That's where it comes down to. Because if he does take the step, that means you actually have a guy like if he was playing in and out, and you can get a little versatility out of him. Okay, now we're talking, boys. Like now this defensive line's starting to talk a little bit to me. And that, Klotz, I like to hear a little bit of
yeah.
You're talking to me now. Talk
Yeah.
to me nice, huh, Klotzy?
Yeah, all right. I don't know about that, but Antoine Green is another guy that kind of. What do you guys think about him as far as? Because I don't think he's on the Levi O level of like, oh, is he like? Because Levi's like talking about possibly cut off the team, but Antoine Green's a guy that 7th round pick, and we talked about it yesterday. Jeremy Reisman wrote the article about projected starting lineups, and they had Antoine Green running with the ones at the number 3 spot. So he's definitely a guy that, I mean, if he's running with the ones at OTAs and you see him start running with the ones during training camp and joint practices, you definitely have to pay attention to it, because there is going to be some point where it's like, if he's consistently going out there as that X wide receiver, because I think he's got, you can put J-Mo at X, but you rather have J-Mo on the slot. You can line out up wide, but J-Mo's not a guy that you want as the X build. I think Antoine Green has that build to do it. And especially they tried doing it with Marvin Jones, but they do like having a guy that can go out there and just block, to set the perimeter for the screens, for everything that they want to do for the run and the pass game. So if he's out there getting reps, I definitely think that's something to pay attention to.
Oh, go on, Boone.
I was going to say the Antoine Green. I think, Klotz, I'm with you on that. I think you'd like take it a step further. I think it's the Antoine Green, DPJ, and then who's the UFL guy, Jeff?
Hakeem Butler.
Alexander?
Hakeem Butler. So I think potentially we're going to have this conversation. No, they did not. But if they do bring him in, like I was watching his film today because it's a segment, but I think in training camp, say they bring a Hakeem Butler in, and then I think one of the, at least on the offensive side, I think the number one thing to look forward to and to watch out is that position, that wide receiver 4-ish spot, when it's like the big body wide receiver with DPJ, Antoine, and maybe they bring in a Hakeem Butler, and they like, you guys go battle this out. Like, who's going to take that spot? That's how I'm looking at it. Like, I don't think it's just Antoine Green, Klotzy. I think it's like that's those
Style.
3 or 4 guys. Yeah, like
That's
who's going to
style.
take that spot? Because I still think like the Khalif Raymond's wide receiver number 3 when it comes down to it. I think they're just fighting for that X spot, and it's like, who's going to take that over? We don't know. So I think that's like, let's keep an eye on that, because I was watching Hakeem Butler today, and I know he wasn't great in the NFL when he came in, but if you look at his story, he came in, got hurt instantly as a rookie, came back year 2, and COVID hit, and his career was just over. And then you see him in the UFL, and he is an absolute dog. So I think, like, if you bring a guy like that, I think there's going to be competition on that X spot to come train. That's like, keep an eye on the X. Keep an eye. Klotz, I like what you're thinking, Klotz. That's why you're my CPO.
Hakeem Butler, let's just get right into it, okay?
Right.
And we'll get into Jake Bates in a second here, but we'll just get Hakeem Butler. And I've made a video today kind of sharing some of my thoughts, but there was probably more we can get to with Hakeem.
Yeah, you did. Coming
out of Iowa State. Let me tell you about something real quick, okay?
We both fell for it, Jeff.
I'm watching tape. I'm thinking who, because I every year I always like to just check out guys in the draft, and especially playing at Iowa State, and he actually was really productive, by the way. He did like 1,300 yards his last year at Iowa State. And I'm thinking, okay, 6'5", 6'6", and then he eventually, he's on an NFL roster. He gets hurt. And I still, honestly, I had faith into him until even when he got cut. I'm like, I kind of like to keep Butler. I think the problem, though, revisiting that, is he's somebody that was never really technically sound. He just beat everybody in college because of his physicality and, like his size. And, you see it in the UFL. And Jeremy wrote about this in the article. I think he's had time to kind of develop the more technical side of playing wide receiver. And that's why, Hakeem is an intriguing option. I mean, and like Ryan said, fast as shit too. So he had all the intangibles, Lucas. We both saw it. We thought, okay, I like this. And it just never panned out. But the UFL, man, I mean, he was productive. I think he won Offensive Player of the Year in the UFL. So maybe the Lions give him a shot. Maybe the Lions throw him a little bone. They say, you know what, come compete. I know the Panthers are interested, play alongside Xavier Legette potentially, and and maybe a little bit Adam Thielen.
I wouldn't even be surprised, fellas, if he gets moved to tight end. Just because, like you said, he's one of those players where it's hard for him to keep his feet. And if you see all these teams trying to create weapons at the tight end position, as far as, okay, we got the Kyle Pitts. Look at what Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer could be at the tight end position with the Raiders. They could really bring a dynamic there. If you have a guy that's 6'5", 6'6", you put 10, 15 pounds on him and he's running a 4.5, that's somebody that can really make a difference. Because if you just run him through zone coverage, just through on corner routes, seams, curls, just simple routes, he's a guy that can definitely do those, and you just dumb the game down for him. He could be a weapon there. But I think on the outside, there's a reason why he kind of faded away so quickly. And I think, again, you're seeing in the XFL that or is it the whatever it is, XFL, UFL, that he's, again, dominating. And I think it's just because he's bigger and better than everybody intangibly. But you put him at tight end, I think he's a guy that could really make a difference.
Klotz,
I don't know.
You're usually the ball knower. I'm going to disagree. I watched some of his games. I went back and watched some of the plays. And yeah, there were some plays where it was like, yeah, he's just fat, bigger, and stronger. But there were some plays on the outside to where, like, if you're in a goal line situation, you put him out there, and it's one of those. He feels like one of those players. Hey, throw the ball up and let him go up high point it and go get the ball. Like a legit, like put him on the X. You know, you have Sam Laporta out there, you have Amon-Ra, and you have him out there. Good luck guarding all of those fellas, and you're not going to be able to do it. And like I don't know, like I think like I do get the faded out, but like I went on a deep dive on this man's career, and he was in a bad spot in the NFL.
Not.
I did. His year one instantly comes in 4th round pick in Arizona, injured instantly. Didn't make gets cut because he just gets injured right away as a 4th round pick. So it's like, imagine if Antoine Green last year gets injured. He's probably done practice squad. It's going to be tough for him to make, not even close. Right after he comes back from his injury in the NFL, finally gets back, ready to go. Coronavirus, COVID hits, done. Season over, done. Couldn't get back on a roster. And then as soon as COVID's over, you're, as a guy like that who has, you're 3 years in, and you have no film, then you're instantly like, okay, what do I do? Went to the UFL and instantly he didn't just play that. He didn't play the X position this year and just dominate this year. Last year in like 6 games, he had like 6 or 7 touchdowns last year in like 6 games and like 600 yards. This year, 10 games, it's like 700 yards or 600 yards and a touchdown per game. Like I don't think it's like, oh, he's going to be like a star, but if you're looking at a guy to compete at the X position, I think there's a chance that, and maybe the tight end. I just don't think like you do have like the tight end room here. I don't see where it's like you're going to get him to fit. I think it's like you're looking for an X wide receiver to come in and dominate.
Let me ask you this:
let that man compete.
The Eagles did try to turn. By the way, the Eagles did try to convert him to tight end.
And no, yes, how did that work? Is he playing there right now?
Well, he's no longer around.
Exactly.
Same thing for wide receiver, Boone.
Tried to convert though, and it didn't work.
It's fair.
I must have missed that on my deep dive.
I was gonna say I missed that part.
Skip right over that one. No, I didn't go deep into it, but I
don't think it could hurt. I mean, it's competition, man. Like I'm not gonna sit up here and stare at the camera and say Hakeem Butler is gonna make waves in Detroit.
No,
but like, if you bring him in to compete, why not?
Especially in that like that room, like where you need that position to like step forward, like bring him in to like put pressure on DPJ, put pressure on Antoine. That's pressure makes diamonds, fellas. Look what's happening in the corner room right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bring him in and let him do it. Pay him some money. You pay him $2 million. Come in and let's just see what you can do. And worst case, you have him on the practice squad.
Well, you know what player won't be on the practice squad?
Booner.
Who's that? Booner.
Is he hell of a kicker? Jake Bates. And the Lions have finally gotten a chance to meet with him.
Mm-hmm.
Boys, it could potentially be Christmas in June. Jake Bates, I hope you're listening, because the Lions, they need you. They need you bad. They need competition in the kicker room right now. James Turner, sure he's a great guy. Michael Badgley, sure he's a great guy. But we need more talent at kicker. And Jake Bates is, I'm not saying he would walk into the NFL and be one of the best kickers in the league. He struggled later in the UFL season. He did. But for competition, guys, come on. That should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Again, will he win the job? He has to compete for it. But why not? I don't know if James Turner, fellas, is going to be, go toe-to-toe with Michael Badgley. I would be more comfortable with Jake Bates going toe-to-toe.
Take a step back with that. Take a step back on that real quick. James Turner didn't miss a kick in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
He has not missed a kick in the last. I'm not saying like he
should win the job.
No, that's where you're doing a Booner on me. You're pulling a me on me. Don't do that. I do think there's a chance. Like, you can't say James Turner. You don't think that he'll be able to put pressure and compete with Michael Badgley? Yes, he just did for the last 3 weeks, Jeff.
And honestly, that says more about who you have in the kicker room.
Exactly. Okay, there you go. You know what? We just walked through that. That was good. That was good. That was a good moment that we had there.
I mean, it does. So bring in Jake Bates, compete, and please let's see who wins the
job. That's all it is. Just bring in. It's the same thing in any room. Pressure makes diamonds, fellas. That's the Booner quote of the day. Pressure makes diamonds. Bring Jake Bates in. I don't care how we finish the year. Go and bring him in. Pay him some money. He's proven he can make kicks. Now it's like, let's get it consistently. I would bring him in instantly. And the scary part is, I reported it today. Yes, reported it. But the Green Bay Packers also are requested to bring him in as a visit. The Baltimore Ravens with Justin Tucker as well also did. And let me check one more team here. I want to make sure I get the right team. And the Commanders. So like the two, you don't want. Hey, there's strategy to this. Maybe you just pay him so the Packers don't get him. That's strategy.
Don't want.
That might be what the Packers are trying to do to the Lions, though. You never know.
True. Yeah.
That's why you don't let him leave the room. We need like a Booner special.
What do I say?
I don't know if I want to say what you say. You say it.
What's my strategy?
You could say that.
I use the same strategy. I've been saying this since October. This is my strategy since October. I've told Brad Holmes this before. We've had a conversation about it. Bring the guy in. He did it with DJ Reader. He did it with Damon Ra, Penei Sewell, Jared Goff. You bring the player in. You throw him in a conference room. You close the door. You lock it from the outside, and you say, here's the paper. We're not leaving until you sign that, until you're on this football team.
That is blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
That's what that is.
That's how you football team. Put him in the.
That may be partially illegal, but I actually support it. I do.
Yeah, if it wins.
So you're pounding the table for Jake Bates, Boone?
I would love to sign him just to get another guy in the room. I do think like I die on the hill with me and Jeff. When me and Jeff have the same mindset when it comes to kicker. Go look at the teams that are winning Super Bowls in the league right now. What do their kickers look like? They're the best in the NFL, and I think like Michael Badgley, very, 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 very. What's the word that you always use, Klotzy? Very fine kicker. Very fine kicker. He can make kicks. He won you a game. He made a kick in the playoffs. You always can improve at kicker until you get the best in the league. Until you have a Harrison Butker or a Justin Tucker or a Jake Moody or the kid from Dallas.
Got to be proven.
I think he's there. In the Super Bowl, he made those kicks. He was in a kicking battle in the Super Bowl.
So was Jake Elliott, though. So was Evan McPherson. He was banging those.
Evan McPherson, he's a good kicker. Like I would take him. Like until you get those types of guys, you are constantly looking for a kicker, and you should be bringing new guys in, and you should be putting pressure on, just like Justin Tucker, Jake Bates.
Well, apparently they want to put pressure on Justin Tucker too if they want to sign Jake Bates.
Fair.
I mean, that's the thing. You at least bring him in. All right. I'm not going to say he would immediately be a top 5 kicker, top 3 kicker in the NFL. I'm not saying that, but he, I think you at least have to give him an opportunity. And back when I made that video about how important a kicker is, and going back and looking at literally the last decade of championship games. Every year, all 4 teams were great rosters, but every roster had a good kicker. And even the Super Bowl teams had good kickers, so it matters. It's not everything, but when you look at the NFL and they say most games are decided by a touchdown or less, a field goal sometimes or even less, then yeah, I mean, it could be the difference. And I'm not saying Badgley he's not bad. He's at a level to where you want to always look to upgrade. He's not like, okay, he's the answer. You know, how about this? And honestly, this might even be wrong, but this is what Neil always says. He's not the problem, but he's not the solution. You know,
he's mid.
Yeah, like even sometimes you could argue he might be a problem, but he's not always the problem, but he's definitely not the solution.
It's a situation. You can win games with him, but you can also lose games because of him. So like it goes both ways. But you want a kicker that you can constantly just win games because of. And it's like you can win games because of him, and you can rely on him. It's the same at any position in the NFL, guys. Like, what are we doing here? It's the same, like any position. If you don't have the best at that position, you're trying to get the best at that position. Why is it any different with kicker in this city?
Right.
Seriously, why is it any different when people talk about kicker? Adam, I love Adam. I don't know if he's watching right now, if he's here, but he's like, oh no, Badge is good. Like, I've got the numbers to prove. I don't care what the numbers say. I know what his leg can do.
I like where you're going with this, Boone. You like what you're seeing on the field.
Yeah, like yes, I know what his leg can do, and I can see what he does. He's not one of the best kickers in the NFL, which means you can always upgrade. And like it's not going to hurt you to look to upgrade and get better at a certain position.
He's like the Devin Singletary of kickers.
Great example.
Although Devin Singletary did just ball out, but that could be
the Giovanni Bernard.
Hey, I like that one. But Gio, he was still very nice. Fine,
Gio, dude. He's
running
good.
back. Yeah, him and remember Jeremy Hill? Jeremy Hill was good until he fumbled. After that fumble, he was done.
But you see what I'm saying? You could always upgrade. Why is it any different in the city when it comes to the kicker right now? And maybe I'm saying the city. Maybe it's just a small part of the fans, like Adam. Shout out Adam. But like him, who will be like, you guys don't need to talk about the kicker. No. You can upgrade the kicker. We had Jason Hansen for how long? Like it'd be nice to have a kicker. We had Matt Prater. It is a benefit.
Bring
to have
him back. Kicker. Fuck it. Bring him back one more time.
I would take Matt Prater.
Give him a shot. Give him a flyer.
I would take Matt Prater. I think he still got it. I think he still got it. And
a beer. Let him kick some field goals.
By the way, I have to mention this. I see Anakin. Anakin got timed out. By the way, there's no problems here. Coach is a mod for a reason. We absolutely love him. So, man, he's pretty much free to do whatever he wants. But Anakin, we're happy you're back. That's it. Sometimes I'm gonna be honest, fellas. We do this show. I look in the chat and I'm smiling while you guys are giving a take. It's hard sometimes, man. It makes.
I know, dude. I'm like
there's a lot of funny shit being said in there, and I just see it right in front of me.
I get distracted the most. I have like the shortest attention span, so when I see you guys laughing, I forget everything.
There's wars that go on in there, man. Because I'll like zone out of the chat, and then 5 minutes later, like it's usually ETN and Anakin just going at each other's throats and just start the war.
It also doesn't help when there's certain individuals that fail to understand what competition is. That also does not help.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a real thing. But
I hate some people just love to go at just say something. If I'd say something, some people just need to grow up. I love having fun I love having fun in the chat. If you could come at me all you want, and we could have a fun time. But grow up. Some people need to.
Yeah. I'm with you. You.
Take all the wear and tear, Boone. Give them all the load. Give them all the load.
I enjoy banter. I'll say this.
I enjoy banter.
I know. So like in college, my roommates for like 4 or 5 years were all Australian. If you guys know anything about Australians, they are like the most like ruthless people. Like the jokes and the things that they'll say to you, the things I've heard about myself. So like I enjoy the banter. I can take it. But like what were we talking about? What was it said that was said, Jeff? Can't even remember. The competition
about that specific comment earlier?
Yeah, the competition.
It's simple competition, right? And that goes across not just our platform or YouTube channels, but also anything on television. I mean, you watch anyone that's worked at a different. Colin Cowherd always does it. My former employer, or a different network. That's just how it works.
We don't promote for free. And by the way, like I tune into our friends' shows as well, and I comment in the chat. You guys probably see me there. Like I support my friends and the people in this industry that we've became close with.
Yeah, we love those guys.
And I have heard as well, like people in the comment sections of the other place putting our chat in there, and people being said, "Hey, don't promote them in our chat. So like, I'm not going to sit here and promote other people. I will promote my friends. Shout out Easy Sports. Speak easy, baby. I love everyone. ELE. I live for ELE, but I'm not promoting people who don't pay my paychecks anymore.
That's fair. And I think those guys would even understand. I mean, yeah, Easy's in the chat. I mean, man, Ryan was in the chat. We love those guys. We love all the
boys. I love all the boys. I miss some of the boys too.
But yeah, enough of our TED talk here. Before we end the show in about 15 minutes, let's get to mailbag. We got a couple minutes on 9:50, but we always like yesterday we didn't even really get to mailbag.
And can I say one more thing?
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
No one, I'm going to make this very clear. No one made any of us on this show. We all made, we grinded, and it's all to the people who support us. So I don't want to ever hear anyone say those people made you. We made ourselves. Thank you. I worked too hard for the last 5 years to get told that someone else made Booner, and we made no one came to me and said, hey, we got it, like the NFL. Hey, we got a script for you, Booner. Here's the Booner path. And when you do the Booner path, I want you to drink some Kool-Aid. And then I want you to react on this. I want you to react on this live stream. No, I'm Booner. My mom made me.
It's fair.
I'm sorry. I had to get that out. Bad for me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Well said, Boone. And I think, and I will say, and I'll say this, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I think I will admit the platform elevated me. I will say that, but also the work we had to do. I mean, no one hands that we could have easily failed, and with the help of the people now, we get to do our own thing. So shout out to all the people in the chat. That's why we love to give away jerseys. We're going to do another one soon. We give away things. And I mean, we try to give back as much as possible, and we give memberships and stuff like that. So shout out to the people, man, because of you guys were able to do this stuff. And we just hit 7.5 thousand
ECL
subscribers.
We did, yeah, and we're on socials too. Things are 2,000.
Boys, we're gonna hit 10K before the season starts. Like, think about that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's just word of mouth and consistency. You know, people. I mean, all the time, people sharing the word, which is important, and people also our social media, which you guys have been really putting together here. So we got some big things in the works. We're talking to some potential sponsors, behind the scenes, trying to get some things ironed out here, get ready for the football season. And I will say
that is a big
fact that you guys are here in June 11th to be exact, on a Tuesday night is impressive. That is impressive. Obviously, we've been in this space for some time, and we kind of understand that come June, July, it is the worst time to talk sports, especially we're heavy football. I mean, we talk multiple different sports, but we're heavy football in June, July. I mean, I don't think you guys would want us to sit here and talk about the Celtics and Mavericks series and how the Mavericks can come back now with Porzingis out. Like, no one gives a shit. So we're getting to August, people, and with you guys, man, tuning in every single night. We do appreciate you. So thank you for that.
And yeah, I want to bring this up.
Community.
I want the people to know this too, like an early before football comes around. First of all, Ryan said more Pistons talk, Booner. We will eventually have Pistons talk and other things. That's going to grow into it when they actually start doing well. I have seen comments too of people saying, like, one thing we like is you guys don't have commercials or anything. Foreshadow. We're not going to have commercials, but through football season, we are going to have sponsors and ads and different things, ad reads, things that we're going to do. Foreshadow for the people. We're going to do everything we can not to have commercials or anything.
No commercials.
We have to find a way though to grow this network, or not network, but this thing. So just want to throw that out there. There will be ads and there will be sponsors at some point. We're going to find ways to incorporate it to where we're able to do it without potentially throwing 3 minutes of commercials in every 5 minutes. We're going to do everything we can, but we are going to have a good amount of sponsors and ads throughout the next football season.
No commercials. We'll never do commercials. I hate that idea of a commercial within a show. It is the dumbest thing to ever exist. Now,
I just wanted people to know that, like, foreshadow.
Will there be an ad read? Like, yeah, but man, we're gonna cook those things out. All right, but yeah, commercials. I will never make these people sit through ads on YouTube and then a 2-3 minute commercial. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's tough, and I want people to know that, like, we're doing everything in our power to make sure we are going to have sponsors and ads in the next 2 months going into football season. we're not gonna do that.
We got to get that studio somehow.
We're trying to find a way here.
Computer.
I can't wait though. That's growth.
Real quick, shout out, man, before we get to ECL, because this man,
ECL,
along with a lot of other people, man, continue to support 501st Legion. Thank you for the $2. He donated earlier, but we were in the middle of a conversation here, so I want to get to it. JMO should be faster next season, 2 years since torn ACL. More comfortable, definitely. Thank you for the donation there, ECL, with the $20, man.
Shout out.
ECL, we appreciate you.
Shout out
Thank you so
ECL,
much.
baby.
The people are absolutely great.
ECL had the best comment earlier too. He was like, "Who's this Adam guy that just lives in Booner's head?"
And by the way, we do apologize for YouTube ads, man. I know they can be bitches sometimes. I mean, we can't necessarily control them too much. I mean, we could. There is an option to like lower them or we don't really touch it, and YouTube just kind of implements ads as they feel.
I have an idea.
So that's on YouTube. I wish I could do something about that.
If we get sponsorships and we have to do a commercial, I will make a guarantee here. It will be a commercial that is filmed by us, and I will be in the commercial, and it will just be a Crunch Time commercial with that ad. I will guarantee, if anyone locally or anyone that we do a deal with, and we'll shut the YouTube ads off. And if we ever do a commercial and we have to, and a sponsor is like, FanDuel says, Booner, we need this, I will star in it, so it's not any normal ad. It will be like a video clip of Booner.
And I do, and you know what, Boone?
How good would that be, though? I'm actor Booner.
To go off of that point, I want people to kind of just to foreshadow a little bit, talking to the future. Now we got 10 minutes. I mean, it's June. What else we have to discuss?
Yeah,
here?
we're having a good combo.
I will mention this to you guys to get whoever stayed. You get this information. We are planning to do content in real life, besides virtual. I'm talking on the road stuff. So there will be content because I think we're doing a disservice not showing off more of our personalities, and especially our friendship. Excuse me.
You guys don't want to see me outside of the show.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that we don't capture that is absolutely hilarious, and we got to get this stuff online. So we will have content on the road doing different things. I know King Horse, shout out to him. He had a great suggestion, going to a field, attempting field goals and having fun. So we will be trying to do more of that as well. We have to continuously find ways to separate ourselves, and posting, doing Lion stuff and posting Lion stuff, which come the season, absolutely. But outside of that, we will definitely we're trying to separate ourselves. And I think with our strengths, that's a perfect way to do that. So
vlogs, weekly vlogs
forward in the future.
Yeah, a lot of different things. And by the way, too, I don't know if there's anyone in the chat that's golf fans. Can I say what Gentry and I are doing?
Yeah.
We yesterday officially we were credentialed to go to the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So our show, our Crunch Time will be covering the whole Rocket Mortgage Classic, the full week. And I know it's like a massive event in Detroit, whether you like golf or not. I think I think the Rocket Mortgage Classic is one of the biggest events in Detroit. The draft. Oh, by the way, Stephen Clark. We'll have to get to that. I don't know if that's real, but yeah, we will be at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, and me and Gentry will be covering it all week as a credentialed media, which is exciting. That's big time for our show for sure, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's big time. That is big time. We'll be at anyone that's down there. You'll see Mike and Booner, so go say hi to them.
All weekend. I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So make sure you guys come see us. I don't see anything officially here with Jordan Love.
I only see a NFC North news thing.
Yeah, the NFC North news is a bad account.
Yeah, it's funny sometimes, but it's not legitimate.
Yeah, that's like not even 40 per year. It makes no sense that amount. So yeah, I don't believe that report. We'll if it is breaking, we'll get to it eventually.
Rocket Mortgage Classic, though, we are credentialed, officially credentialed. So make sure if you guys are there, come see us. Maybe I'll hang out with Ricky Fowler or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Booner X Ricky Fowler collab. Yeah, it'll be fun. You and Gentry. I mean, you're probably the two guys that definitely the most qualified. I mean, to go down there. I'm getting into it. But no, you guys go down there and take care of business. You guys will do good.
Good couple days at the Lynx.
At the Lynx.
Oh, Steven says that Jordan Love rumored contract's only guaranteed. Yeah, we're not reporting it unless it's by an official outlet. NFC North News, man. That's a fan-run account, so I'm gonna go ahead and
they said there was dead people found at Ford Field the week of the NFL draft, and they had to shut Ford Field down.
Funny, actually, I don't know.
And I was working at Ford Field that week, and nothing was shut down, so they were just dead wrong. It's just a lot.
Did they really tweet that out? There was dead people found at Ford Field.
There was dead people, and they said the water was contaminated at Ford Field, and it blew up nationally. It blew up, and it was literally they said no one's allowed in Ford Field. As I'm reading the tweet, I'm sitting having lunch at Ford Field. And I'm like, all right, am I just drinking dead water? This is
dead water. Dead bro said dead water.
Assuming the water's alive, of course. Are you dead water? No, yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's wild that anyone would even tweet that. That's just fucking engagement farming at that point.
Dead water, Booner. You just drank dead water.
No, this is good water. I love good.
It's alive water.
By the way, can I tell a story real quick that happened to me today?
What's up, Boone?
What happened?
Have you guys ever been to the Plum Market? I guess it's a well-known market around the world.
No.
There's one downtown Detroit where I work, and I go there and get an energy drink to wake up during the day, halfway through the day. I went and got this thing that was an energy drink, and I bought the energy drink. Went to back to work. Drinking the energy drink, I'm like, man, I'm feeling good. And then I start getting tired. I drank this whole drink the whole time for hours. It wasn't an energy drink. It was just, it was a 0 calorie, just sparkling water.
Juice?
Sparkling water.
Did you feel?
That's the worst,
dude. I don't know. I was just sitting there, and then I started yawning. I was like, why am I so tired? I'm drinking this energy drink. Nothing's working. And I look at it. Someone that was sitting next to me was like, "What are you drinking?" Energy drink. And they're like, how much caffeine's in it? And I look at it, and everything all across the board, all zeros. And I'm like, that's a disaster.
It's a disaster, boys.
It was bad.
Yeah,
what did you tell them? What was your response after if they asked if it was energy drink?
I said, this is a disaster. There's zeros across the board. I don't know what this is. And then I left and went and got a real energy drink. I got one of these.
It's dead water. It's fucking dead water, dude.
Shout out, Boone.
Really good. Blueberry pomegranate. Great drink.
Yeah, I thought for a second you were going to say you felt energy. I was like, that placebo, man. It's like mental effect. Like you were like, I drank an energy drink, and it wasn't.
It was the opposite of the placebo. I kept yawning. I'm like, why isn't this working?
Kamikaze Kenji. Hey boys, if you need a movie to see in the theaters, go see the new Bad Boys. It actually wasn't bad. Surprised me how good and funny it definitely. Bad Boys is one of my favorite series. Me and Booner just talked about that. Booner, remember we were just trying to go see that movie actually.
Maybe we'll go this weekend.
If anybody saw it, yeah. I mean, Kenji said it wasn't bad. I mean, I've heard mixed review. A lot of people said they loved it. So, I got to see it. Martin. I'm a little worried about his well-being a little bit, but I think he's fine. I think Martin's fine. Literally one of the guys. I don't know.
Jeff just has these conspiracies.
I'm worried.
He's one of those. He's one of those weird conspiracy theory people.
I mean,
Is there a Martin Lawrence conspiracy?
Well,
yeah, for him.
You notice like in some interviews, like Martin Lawrence, like he doesn't like he's not really talking. I think Will Smith has been kind of carrying the media stuff, and you notice when he talks, it's like a little off. I think he's getting older, but also it's like.
Yeah, Jeff's just like
suffered a health event like a while ago or something like that. It's weird. I just hope he's all right.
Jeff's like he's just suffering from old age. Like, yeah, everyone gets old, brother.
No, he's not even like old though. It's weird. It's something about it. Someone mentioned maybe a stroke or something. I was just worried. I've been reading stuff online, man. You get too deep into that. You know what I mean? I'm like the theories about Martin Lawrence. He's not doing well.
Down to Martin Lawrence rabbit hole.
He just made a movie. Yeah. You know how hard it is to make a movie and do your stunts. Like they do their own stunts. I'm pretty sure. Like Martin Lawrence, he's perfectly fine if he's doing another Bad Boys and doing stunts. I think he's good. I think he's good, Jeff. Yeah. We should go see that movie this weekend, though. I'm in.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I gotta lay some all Saturday morning, but then I can come up.
Yeah, just nothing crazy this week. I got to work and just.
Do you want to see Bad Boys, Lucas?
Let's go see a movie and then
All right, you know what? I guess yeah. Let's do it. Team bonding. Team
bonding. Saturday night team bonding at the movies.
Michael says off-brand Eminem sometimes drives me nuts with his takes, but you guys are really good. Quickly becoming a must-watch for me. We appreciate you, Michael. I don't know who Eminem is.
Who's off-brand Eminem? You could probably argue
off-brand Eminem.
It's all of us.
No, I'm assuming me.
That is funny.
That's a good one.
That's a new one.
Michael?
That's a new one.
I like you, Michael. I like you.
Welcome
I
to the
like
show,
that.
Michael.
Good one.
That's
a new
Klotz
one.
Gotta tip his cap to that one. That's a good one. Better than
I'd be
lunch
mad.
lady. I'd rather be called off-brand M&M than lunch lady. You know, that's
Yeah.
probably a fair.
Yeah, at least you guys aren't called just like fat boy.
People call you fat boy in the
Who said
chat.
that?
I mean, I see it. I see it.
I see it. I don't call it
see
out.
rumors.
He
I
takes
see
notice. He
I
puts
see
it down in the
everything.
Booner notes. He's got all the usernames that all ever called him fat boy. He's got a.
I do have a lot of screenshots in my phone. I don't.
No,
forget
you
things.
don't. Okay, we gotta end the show here. He might, honestly. We gotta do a
the
roast.
event that happened 4 months ago when we were transitioning. Not, I've got screenshots.
Bro, you got to land that plane fast.
You know what month it is, right? All right, let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys so much, man.
I love you guys.
I love doing this. We all do. It's a lot of fun, and you guys make it so much more fun. Until tomorrow, John Macaroon. You guys know what time it is. Macaroon Wednesdays.
Love you
All
guys.
the updates from the man, the myth,
The Podfather.
the
Hey,
Podfather.
and don't
John
forget,
Macaroon.
people.
All
Don't
line.
forget where the defensive player of the year, Aidan Hutchinson, hype started. We start that today.
Okay.
Defensive player of the year, the Booner
people-
path.
And go buy some merch. Go buy some merch.
Get your
That's
merch.
merch, baby.
Get your merch. Until next time, guys, man. Stay
Peace.
blessed out there. Have a safe night. Until tomorrow. And have a great day at work tomorrow. If you guys are waking up early, which assuming a lot of you are. Until tomorrow.
Thank you.
Deuces.
I appreciate
Peace.
that. Thank you.